सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाएं, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाएं। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाएं, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाएं। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाएं, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाएं। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाएं, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाएं। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाएं, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाएं। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाएं, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाएं। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाएं, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाएं। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाएं, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाएं। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाएं, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाएं। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाएं, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाएं। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाएं, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाएं। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाएं, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाएं। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने, 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने, 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने, 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने, 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने, 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने, 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने 8448440632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाएं, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाएं। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाएं, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाएं। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने, 8448440632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाएं, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाएं। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाएं, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाएं। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने, 8448440632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाएं, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाएं। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाएं, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाएं। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने, 8448440632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाएं, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाएं। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल
यं शैवाः
Recording in progress.
शिव इति ब्रह्मेति वेदान्तिनः यं शैवाः समुपासते शिव इति ब्रह्मेति वेदान्तिनः बौद्धाः बुद्ध इति प्रमाणपठवाः कर्तेति नैयायिकाः अर्हन्नित्यत जैनशासनरताः कर्मेति मीमांसकाः क्रैस्त्वाः क्रिस्त इति क्रियापररताः अल्लेति महम्मदाः सोऽयम्भो विदधातु वाञ्छिता फलम् त्रैलोक्यनाथो हरिः
Thank you, students, for having the institute invocation. Dear participants and guests on the dais, I'll start the welcome address. Before starting the welcome address, let me have a background of this program. As you all know that COVID-19 has made us to rethink about our lives. We were not thinking about such a situation in our lives. You have seen that for many of them, the dear ones have gone, or for some others, it has created a panic situation throughout their life. And even for the students group also. They have never thought that their schools and colleges will be closed down for a longer time like this. How do they continue with the education? They are on day-to-day lives activities. We have seen such a trauma situation never before, and this has made us to think about our lives and how do we manage such situations in our lives. And as a part of this, after the COVID-19 or during or after the COVID-19, the Ministry of Education has started providing psychosocial support to the students and teachers so that the students can even face boldly such situations whenever it comes in their lives. NCERT has been given a major responsibility to popularize these activities under Manodarpan brand, and we have just completed a 3 years of duration, the Manodarpan, and a lot of activities are going under this Manodarpan, and that will be discussed by the in charge Manodarpan, Professor Anjum Sivia, in her talk. Students and the participants, we have seen every day a lot of news from the daily that many students are committing suicides. Recent reports shows that in the Kota districts, within a week's time, 3 students who are preparing for NEET examination has been committed suicide. Within a month, it goes to around 12. And from this year, January to October, it is more than 25. There only in the Kota districts. And we have also seen such reports from different parts of the country also. What is happening to our education? Education is meant for developing a quality life among students, but certain points of time, certain students are taking a decision to end their life when they start beginning of their life itself. It's a very serious concern. And the schools have been looking upon academics as well as their physical development, but we were forgetting about their mental development or mental well-being. So schools have started now seriously to think this particular aspect, and the ministry has taken various initiatives for overcoming such incidents at the school. We have now, government has proposed developing various guidelines for having school wellness teams so that they can even identify and prevent such cases in future. So it is in this context, at the NCERT level, we have organized various regional conferences and national conferences in the area of mental health and mental well-being. And this particular 2 days workshop is meant for identifying various strategies and issues which are faced by the students at different school sectors such as Kendriya Vidyalaya, Navodaya Vidyalaya, and our state-owned schools. So we have invited our participants from all these sectors, and a limited number, let us say that around 25 to 30, to have a physical participation at this room at RIU Mysuru, and majority of them, around 70, are there online participation also. Now let me come to the welcome address. Let me start with our chief guest, Professor Indumati Rao. She is the Regional Advisor, CBR Network, South Asia. She has been working in the area of special education and rehabilitation of the children. She will be joining online. As I want to tell that predominantly the workshop will be done online only. So I hope Madam has joined. Professor Indumati Rao, are you there?
Yes, Namaste, I am here.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome to RI Mysuru online session as well as for the inaugural session. We'll provide a clap to her. Along with her, we have our mentor and the in charge Manodarpan cell, Professor Anjum Sibia, the Dean Academic, NCERT. She has also joined online. Madam, please.
Morning, everyone.
Yeah. Now we have with us our principal, Professor S. Sugumar sir, who has been the principal at NERI Shillong, our own one regional center at Meghalaya Shillong. We are welcoming sir for this 2 days workshop. We are also with us the head DE, Professor Kalpana Venugopal, who coordinate the activities. Welcome you, madam. I also welcome the Deputy Commissioner, Navodaya. Hope you are there, sir. Gopala Krishna. Are you there? Okay, he was there online.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Good morning. So we also welcome you and other Deputy Commissioners of Kendriya Vidyalaya and the principals, vice principals and other teachers from Kendriya Vidyalaya as well as Navodaya Vidyalaya who have joined online as well as offline in this room. I also welcome other teachers who are joined from at a distance online, NCERT faculty as well as diet faculty of different states, including Lakshadweep. A warm welcome to all of you. Now I'll request the introduction of participants we will be doing later because otherwise. I also welcome our research scholars, our students and our colleagues from RIE as well as colleagues from NCERT and other RIEs also to this program. Give a warm welcome to all of them. I'll request our principal to make an introductory note. Thank you.
The Honorable Chief Guest, Professor, the Honorable Chief Guest, Professor Indumati Rao, Director, CBR Network, South Asia, esteemed Dean of Research, NCERT, Professor Anjum Sibia, my dear colleagues, the head DE, Professor Kalpana Venugopal, the program coordinator, presently Professor Anil Kumar, and other online participants, the deputy commissioners, deputy directors of KV, JNV, and then the principals and teachers of NCERT, diets, and my colleagues and research scholars and beloved students. Good morning. Today's program, even though it is online, it is very important one and being organized based upon the initiatives from the Ministry of Education. We admire for bringing this type of programs because this is another type of the role assigned to the school teachers and principals. Since there are a lot of impact on mental health of these children. In the case of the children, the mother knows well in what condition a child is disturbed. Similarly, also, the teacher must know at what condition a child, a student is disturbed. When there is a mental disturbance, it will be very difficult to understand. Suppose if there are the other physical health problems, there are a number of symptoms which can be identified. But in the case of mental health symptoms, through activities and reactions and mood can be understood, but mostly people ignoring to identify such symptoms, and thus there is a need of special training for identifying such symptoms like the other health problem, technician identifying these identifying various health disorders based upon criteria. Even a child may be disturbed by a single word. A single word itself may disturb. Suppose if you tell a child you are a fool, that will be a great insult and it will affect the mood of the child. A single word is sufficient to disturb the one, and in such a way, from the words to a number of other factors, day by day or in a daily life, disturbing the children. And hence, a lot of exercise and also trainings are required for the teachers to identify, to even not being the causal factor for giving the health troubles to the mental health troubles to the children. Thus, being the one not only identifying the problems of this mental related healthness, being avoiding himself not being the factor of children's health problems, also very important one. On many occasions, how a teacher is helping is also a matter of concern, and in such a way what is important, there are the life skills which are very essential that the student himself able to solve such a mental problems. So we have to move such a level also to identify the mental related problems and solve. When we see about such a conditions, even aged people also could not able to solve their problems. They are becoming victim of such a health hazard, mental health hazards, and when in the case of the children, there are the lot of problems there, and such a problems may lead to the committing suicide, and afterwards knowing is also having less importance, and hence a correct time help for a correct child is very important one. And when considering this online program, the challenges and strategies for promoting mental health being in schools, we admire very much for proposing and conducting these programs. NCERT is also from the beginning itself has been involving a number of programs and and conducting number of such programs for the betterment of children's mental health of the schools. We have one more program, that is guidance and counseling, which is also partially covering children's mental health. And one more subject area is also that this the special children group also there, and there also we take care of this mental health of the children, special need children. So there also we take care of the mental health related problems and the children, and we take measures to solve such problems. Being a part of educational research and teaching and education, these mental health problems is dominating a major part, and so the entire school itself must take such an initiative. And with this statement, I conclude my speech, and I wish for the grand success of this program.
Thank you, Professor Sukumar sir, for highlighting the mental issues of the students and saying that much of the time the mental issues are invisible. It is only coming to visible time. I think it may be too late to resolve the issues also. Now, for the next speaker is from our Manodarpan cell in charge, Professor Anjum Sibia. Before Madam starts the program, let me ask, introduce Professor Anjum Sibia. Thank you. Lahari has been asked to make 1 minute.
Good morning all, respected dignitaries on the dais and those who have joined online, participants online and offline, and my dear colleagues. We are honored to introduce Dr. Anjum Sibia, Professor of Educational Psychology and Dean Academic, in charge of Manodarpan Cell, Department of Educational Psychology and Foundations of Education, NCERT. She has been working in the National Council of Educational Research and Training for the last 31 years. She has contributed to the development of national curriculum frameworks, position papers on peace education, textbooks in psychology for classes 11 and 12, learning outcomes at secondary stage, working paper on guidance and counseling, and integration of affective concerns in teaching and learning. As a member of various course committees, she has also provided academic inputs for designing psychology syllabi, B.Ed courses, value and peace education, guidance and counseling programs. Professor Sibia has organized a number of training programs and has also provided consultancy to governmental and non-governmental agencies in training of teachers, school counselors, teacher educators, and administrators in various programs organized within and outside the NCERT. She has contributed to the field by conducting research studies, preparing monographs and exemplar materials in the area of emotions and learning, innovative school practices, teacher questioning, emotional intelligence, qualitative techniques, caring in teaching, and mental well-being. Some of her major contributions include Tamanna, an aptitude test for senior school students, developed by NCERT New Delhi, developing personal social qualities for creating a safe and healthy school environment in NISTA, common minimum program for value education, social construction of emotions in Encyclopedia of Cross-Cultural Psychology. And ma'am has also authored so many textbooks for class 11 and 12. She has also contributed to many NCERT textbooks. We welcome you to the workshop, ma'am.
Madam, please.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Anil, and thank you for the kind words. At the outset, namaskar and a warm welcome on my personal behalf and on behalf of NCERT to the regional workshop which is being hosted by the Manodarpan faculty of RI Mysore, which is Professor Anil Kumar. We from NCERT would like to join hands with RI Mysore in taking forward this workshop. And before we go on to the details of the workshop and Manodarpan cell, I would like to say that our efforts at Manodarpan are towards implementation of National Policy of Education 2020. We all know, and very rightly so, that NEP 2020 has talked about emotions, feelings, mental health, well-being of students, and has positioned it right at the core in the schools, and also in the assessment when we talk of 360-degree assessment. So this is the first time that the policy has taken such a strong and such a concerted effort has been made to take forward this work. And NCERT, through its various efforts, whether it is the National Curriculum Framework, whether it is the foundational or the preparatory work which is presently going on, we all are working towards the integration of mental health and well-being concerns in the syllabus, in the textbooks across stages. Now, as we all know that education had largely neglected the effective aspects. And this is the time that policy has given us a very right kind of a direction that how to go ahead and integrate this in the child's life in school, that is the child's learning, child's development. And this is what provides the basis, the genesis of taking forward the work which has been envisioned under Manodarpan. No doubt Manodarpan started as a result of COVID, as a result of issues and problems which were faced by children during COVID. No doubt about that. But now that, it's almost 3 years since we started the initiative, we are moving on to different kind of, in different directions so that we are supporting mental health of the child, not only as a remediation, as an issue, which the child is facing and he has to discuss it on a telehelp line, but in a more, in terms of proactive and preventive measure. So the main aim of Manodarpan is prevention and proactive action by the school. And it is heartening to see about 100 plus participants here in blended mode for the regional workshop, because the aim of this workshop is making a regional presence of Manodarpan and its activities and keeping the needs of the region in view. The work is to be taken up, has to be envisioned at regional level and has to be taken forward. And I can see SCRTs, I see administrators, I see different school systems who have joined us here in the regional workshop. And since this being the southern region, I would like to share here that 2 days back in the Joint Secretaries meeting of the ministry, he had raised concerns about, South being neglected. And that was the time we had shared with him that this regional workshop is going to look at the regional needs and we are going to fulfill the regional capacities, will kind of strengthen the regional capacities of its stakeholders. And it is within this kind of thinking, this workshop has been planned. We have had earlier 2 such workshops at Bhopal and at Miri Shillong. And one after this in the next month, in the month of January, we are going to have it in Bhubaneswar. So basically the focus is on building regional capacities, because sitting here in the center, what we are doing will not have much meaning if it does not reach every stakeholder and or to the last child in every region and in every school. So keeping that focus in mind, these kind of programs have been visualized under Manodarpan. A lot can be said on the importance and need of this, because we know that especially the administrators and especially the teachers and people who are in the education system, we know that policy is also talked about preparing teachers as first level counselors. And Professor Sukumar very rightly talked about the guidance and counseling program, which currently has been run by all the RIs and also at NI DEFI. wherein we train first level counselors and we also train specialists in the sense who come directly from the from universities and colleges after finishing their masters. But our main aim is to train first level counselors. So in this training, the first level counselors are a big force who are with us in Manodarpan. We have about 400 counselors who are enrolled with us to take forward our telehelpline services. And it is in this context, it would be right if I just share with you the work which is being taken up by Manodarpan so that you get a complete comprehensive idea about, what is to be done at regional level and what more we can do in this area. Of course, the jingles were something we began the program with, and they are the ones who would now be played on FM very soon. That's what the ministry wants. So you had a kind of small glimpse of that. Maybe, not taking much time, I would come to what Professor Anil Kumar has assigned to me, is how we started Manodarpan and what Manodarpan is taking. He has quite rightly said that we are supporting psychosocial, we are providing psychosocial support to our stakeholders, which includes our students, our teachers, and their families. So this initiative is not limited only to the students. It is like takes a very whole school approach to dealing with the psychosocial aspects of child's development. Like it has been mentioned earlier that the initiative was started at the outbreak of COVID pandemic during 2020 July. The ministry started Manodarpan, and in October 2020, Manodarpan cell was opened up here in NCERT, and we in the Department of Educational Psychology and Foundations of Education took forward the work which was envisioned by the ministry under this initiative. And we have a faculty of, about 5-6 people who are working on it. And now we have about 8 new recruits. And I'm sure they will also be contributing to the initiative very soon in the coming months. Could we have the next one? Yeah. So, like I said, the objective is, providing support to all the stakeholders in the country. And this is one of the important initiatives of the government, and it is reported under Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. So the work which is taken up is reported on very, very regular basis to the ministry, which also highlights the importance of the work which is taken up by the Manodarpan cell NCERT. And when I say NCERT, I include all my RIs who are part of the Manodarpan cell, and Professor Anil Kumar from RI Mysore has been a very active member and has taken forward the regional workshop which you are attending today. Yes, can we go to the next one, please? Now, this is just to give an idea, because it's important that advocacy of mental health reaches each and every corner of the country and to all schools. So it is important that our participants here today, who I believe are really in large number, 100 plus is a big, big number. And of course, there are 30-40 who are physically present also. So that makes it around very near to 147 or 40 people. So it's important to see what all is being done and how we can, think of ways and strategies to take it to the schools. Now, a Manodarpan webpage is there on the ministry website. This was created right at the time, the initiative started, that is July 2020. And it has got a lot of resources which schools can make use of. One is the mental health well-being survey, which was taken up last year, and it was released on 6 September 2022. This is one of its own kind of survey, because about 4 lakh students across different school systems took part in the survey, and we have the representation of all the states, 28 and 8 UTs. So not a single state was left out, and 4 lakh was a number which is quite remarkable. If you want to access the report, you can go on the ministry website. We have given the link right here also for you to see. And I may request Professor Anil Kumar to share this PPT with all the participants of the program so that they can access the links, which are going to come in the other slides also. Of course, as a resource, we have a 21st century skills handbook. We have a lot of advocacy material, some guidelines for students and teachers on mental health and well-being. Motivational posters are there. There are videos, facts, podcasts. So the idea of putting the posters and all on this is that schools should get them printed at their level and put it in their school corridors for the children to read the motivational quotes, see the posters, see the sayings which are written on the posters, because they do have a lot of meaning. Then, of course, Mantarang is a digital collation of Manodarpan activities. A number of activities are done with the schools. During the mental health week, they are collated, and a number of other peer sport activities had also been taken up. So this is a collation which you can see, and it's a last year's collation. This year, another 2 months, we're going to put up the work which was taken up between 2022 and 23. But for 2 years, from 2020 to 2022, Mantarang is the one which would give you a very holistic idea of the work taken up. Like I said, our counselors are our support system for the tele-helpline, which was the very first work taken up under Manodarpan during COVID times. And this directory has around 400 counselors, which are, given the details of counselors are given region-wise, state-wise, language-wise. And this is a resource which all schools should use when they need counselors' support and when they need, the help of counselors whenever they are facing certain issues in the school, because the dearth of counselors in schools is very well known, and this resource actually on tele-helpline services is an honorary service which is provided by all our counselors. So I'm sure schools can make use of their help, of their support and their expertise. I have talked a lot about tele-helpline services, which I was just talking about. We have our Central Institute of Education Technology, who is today also helping us conduct this program in blended mode. They are running the IVRS services for tele-helpline from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. all days of the week. That includes Saturday and Sunday. We receive a number of calls, and these calls are then transferred to depending on the language of the caller, they are transferred to the counselor who can answer there, who can provide first aid, as we say, first level or first aid support to the child. And in case of referrals and further action, that also is suggested by the counselor. And of course, we support our counselors. We hold a regular capacity building programs for our tele-helpline counselors to support them to build up their understanding and capacities. A very, very important program which is taken up by Manodarpan, which is around 365 days, if I can say so. They are the webinars and interactive sessions. Sahyog and Paricharcha are now very well-known sessions because they are played on PM eVidya channels. Again, we have our CIT, our sister concern right here in NCERT, who provides us a lot of support. These Sahyog sessions are for students of classes 6 to 12th, and every day they are held by our faculty across RIs, across NI, along with our trained counselors, and a variety of topics and themes starting from, examinations, feeling emotions, positive emotions, or creating positivity, resilience. A number of topics are dealt, and if you can see it, on the slide, that around 690 sessions have been held till date, which provide support to the school system. Paricharcha are sessions which are held every Friday for 1.5 hours. These are sessions with experts in which we engage with mental health and well-being issues and concerns, and this is for teachers and other stakeholders. The biggest aspect of this is for all schools and for states and regions, I would like to make a mention, is that all the sessions, all these 690 sessions and Paricharcha sessions, about 140, they are available on NCERT official YouTube channel. And once you have the PPT with you, and if you see NCERT official YouTube channel is the one which will have all the 690 sessions. Schools can play this depending on the theme they want, depending on the time they have, and especially before examinations, there are number of sessions which can be made use of by the school system. So this is the survey I have talked about, and the link is very much here. I would encourage all the schools here, or the administrators of the schools and the SCRT and the DIET personnel who are here to see the report and get an idea of kind of issues faced by children and work towards preventing this in their own school systems. A big achievement is early identification. It's a handbook. It is in a module form, which can be used by all stakeholders. This too was released some time back by the Ministry of Education and underwent review after getting feedback from the stakeholders. Very soon, in the next 10 days, we are going to upload the revised version on the ministry website. This would help in early identification. This would also help our stakeholders take forward, the work of getting an idea of, what are those signs which will help us identify that children need support, children need some kind of help. Next one, please. Yeah. So this was something I was talking about, that when we directly work with schools, it is through the Ministry of Education. Every year writes to the Secretaries of Education of every state to take forward the celebration of Mental Health Week and the celebration of World Mental Health Day on 10th. So from 4th to 10th, that week is celebrated as the Mental Health Week throughout the country and throughout the different school systems. Manodarpan Cell, NCERT suggests activities which are taken up by the schools with the help of their school boards or the school systems. As such, they take up these activities, and those which are really good, they are shared with the Manodarpan Cell, and we try to make use of the work of students in different ways, like in the calendar which we make for Manodarpan mental health, or the posters we make. Recently a poster was made on during the Foundation Day of NCERT, in which we made use of the work of the students. This will now become part of the digital coalition, and very soon you would also see it on the ministry website. The link to the website is right here in the PPT. So I would request you all to have a look at that and make use of these resources. Can we have the next one? Yeah. Like I said, that Manodarpan Cell is taking forward the implementation of mental health and well-being as has been envisioned in the policy, and towards that we are trying to build up the capacities of the region, the capacities of our own people, and in the process learning a lot about mental health and well-being. And towards this end, we hold national workshops, we hold conferences. We also oriented the SCRTs, the secretaries of the state, and other administrators on the handbook on early identification and the survey which was conducted on students. So these kind of orientations were held for administrators last year, and very soon something is being planned in about 1.5 months' time, again for administrators to take forward the mental health and well-being work. Of course, a lot of ministries also contact us to deliver lectures on different aspects of mental health and well-being, and National Girl Child Day, which is celebrated, is one such thing. Yes, next one, please. Yeah, this is about the advocacy material. A number of materials of this kind are also on the website, and and these are being added, almost every 2 months or so. This advocacy material actually is for the students, for teachers, and for the school administrators. You could take the printout of this, get them printed on Flex, and put it on the school boards. that is why the soft copies are there on the websites. Next one, please. Now, we also try to kind of make inroads in different other work which ministry is taking up. And this was about the Smart India Hackathon, which was held in 2022. And it is, in this, we were asked by the ministry to give about 10 themes on mental health and well-being. And it is very encouraging to see that our very young people are graduates from IITs, IIMs who participated in this. They chose mental health themes as their entries, and 56 winning entries had 17 which were specific to mental health. So out of the 56, I can very proudly say 17 were worked upon by our young engineers on mental health and well-being. A lot of apps were created, and further refinement of this work is going on. A very, very important aspect is teachers' mental health and well-being survey. This was, after this children's or our student survey was taken up, ministry had asked us, directed us that a teacher's well-being survey should also be done. We have just about completed this survey, and you can see it's about 71,000 teachers across the different school systems who have contributed. Though the numbers are not very encouraging, but still it does give us a feel of teachers' well-being concerns or concerns which require our attention, on which we can organize our programs to help teachers deal with this. Of course, our collaboration across institutes is an effort we try to make, and one such as NIMHANS, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Association of Indian Universities, very recently UNICEF and United Nations Office for Drugs and Crime. Then we have colleges in Delhi University, the Hindu College, the Maitri, and few other colleges, Miranda House, and few other colleges who have been collaborating with us on mental health and well-being. Now, this is something Professor Anil Kumar had also talked about, and this is a guideline which the Manodarpan has developed. It is a guideline for schools for prevention of suicide, and the title or the nomenclature is Umeed. And these guidelines are for all schools, and ministry had put it in the public domain to receive feedback. We have just finished receiving the feedback, and it's encouraging to say that the feedback has been very, very appreciative, and it has also given us a few points which we could, consider adding in the guidelines. And like it has been mentioned some time back, the school wellness teams and school wellness team is something which is at the core of this guideline. And we are going to work ahead on, how to make these teams, how to strengthen those teams. Although a comprehensive plan of taking this forward is given in the guideline, right from facts, myths, identifying signs, and what schools need to do at different levels, who will be the part of the school wellness team, what is the role of counselor, what is the role of administrator, and how even a support staff can help in this. So it's a whole school approach which is the basis of these guidelines, and I'm sure these guidelines will find a big place in every school system. And like I just mentioned some time back, that we're going to have a big program on taking this forward along with the Ministry of Education. Next one, please. Yeah. So thank you so much. This is, I would say, this is all what we do in Manodarpan, and I'm sure in coming times, since now we have many more people in number across the RIs, across here in NI also, our work would also multiply, and we would be, coming back maybe in a year's time with much more to showcase and share with you. So when I share this work, the idea is that during the workshop, we would want inputs on how you would want to take forward the work which is shared on the website, the work which is done here by the Manodarpan team, and how and what strategies should be employed at your level to ensure that mental health and well-being finds a very, very, a strong position in every school, and it gets acknowledged by all teachers as a very important aspect of child's learning and development. With this, I think I would end, and as I've taken a lot of time, I also would like to congratulate Professor Anil Kumar and his team there in RI. I can see Professor Venugopal, who has also been quite active with us on Sahyog and Paricharcha. Professor Sukumar, thank you for being with us. It's a pleasure to have the team, RI team, take it forward, and we are really honored, and we really thank the Ministry of Education for providing NCERT the opportunity to work in the area. So thank you, everybody. Namaskar.
Thank you, Professor Sidia, for having a wonderful talk about the activities of Manodarpan Cell and Ministry's initiatives. You have rightly pointed out that it is not one person's task, it is a collective effort. All stakeholders have to be put together to work towards the welfare of the students, for taking proactive and preventive measures. I think we need to work upon that, each and every school principals and all. And another thing is that we have under Manodarpan online counselors, particularly trained by the NCERT, and these counselor services can be taken by all the students and the teachers for their better well-being. Thank you very much, madam. Now we will go for the inaugural session speech that will be done by our Professor Indumati Rao, madam. She is there online. Before I ask madam, please, Nandana will introduce Professor Indumati.
A very warm good morning to respected dignitaries on the days as well as those who have joined us online, all the online and offline participants, my colleagues and students. We at RI Mysore are honored to introduce Dr. Indumati Rao, Regional Advisor, CBR Network South Asia, to the two-day workshop. Dr. Rao advocates for the inclusion of people with diverse needs like disability, aging, and poverty across South Asia. Ma'am was born in Bangalore and completed her graduation from Bangalore University and post-graduation from Manchester University, UK in special needs, along with being accredited a doctoral degree for her work on Portage ECCD in South Asia. She was also the founder director of a few organizations like Nivedita Shishur Kendra, Nivedita Manovikas Kendra, Seva in Action, etc. Ma'am is also the founder regional coordinator for CBR Network, working in 9 South Asian countries. Dr. Rao holds numerous important positions like Chairperson, Global Partnership for Disability Development, Vice Chairperson, National Bal Bhavan, Member, Central Advisory Board of Education, etc., to name a few. Ma'am has also authored many books in the area of disability, like CBR Digital Resource Kit, Right to Equity to Women with Disabilities, Right to Opportunity, a database on disability, etc., are some of her original works. Ma'am was also an integral part of a lot of large-scale projects like Portage to Every Village, Odisha Portage, Hiranyagarbha E-Manthan, etc. We are happy to welcome you, ma'am, to the two-day workshop.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this wonderful, very innovative, blended program. I am sorry, though I am just a couple of hours away from Mysore.
அனுப்பியிருக்காங்கம்மா அதை கூட லிங்க் அனுப்பல
I
எஸ்பிஎஸ் கிட்ட
request
பேசுறேன் எஸ்பிஎஸ் அவங்க
everyone to
டைரக்டர்
mute their microphone. Thank you very much. So I'm just a couple of hours from Mysore, but I was unable to travel to Mysore, so I asked Professor Anil Kumar to forgive me for that. But I'll definitely meet you very soon. Whatever I wanted to say, a lot has been said already by the earlier speaker from NCERT, and whatever I'll be sharing with you, I don't think it will be anything new, because you all have worked in the field of education and you are connected to the grassroots, connecting with children, teachers. So most of it is what you would have experienced directly or indirectly. I would give a legal framework how we should look at the entire mental health wellness of children. So we have RPWD Act, Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act, which was passed by Indian Parliament in 2016. And we also have National Education Policy 2020, and the Chapter 6 on Equitable Inclusive Education looks at all aspects, which includes emotional well-being. In RPWD Act, for the first time in India, mental health, mental wellness, mental well-being has been included under 21 disabilities, 21 plus disabilities. So in a legislation which is applicable, and it should be seen as a guideline by the entire country. So if we look at SDG goals, the goal 4 talks about quality, and the quality comes only when we have quality of schools, and the quality of life of child is acceptable to the child first, the parents, and the larger community. So the teachers and the departments, the government, we are all facilitating, including NGOs. Can I use the slides from Bangalore? Is it okay? Can I run through the slides? The host has disabled screen sharing. Can you enable me, please?
Yeah, please go ahead, madam. Yeah, you please share
I can share.
at your end.
As I said, I'm not talking anything new. I'm looking at from the larger global perspective on mental wellness of children and children in schools, out of schools. They could be in open schools, they could be in home-based programs, they could be children with the diverse needs, disabilities. So it covers all children, not just children who come to schools. So we have to look at all children in the community when we look at the mental wellness. So if we really look at some of the key issues, a lot has been taken. These issues have been addressed a lot in many countries. I would quote the Scandinavian countries, where I had a closer work experience working with them as a consultant. And also in countries like United States or Canada, these issues has already been addressed because they identified long time ago the seriousness of mental health issues among children, and several measures and systems in place to support is already there. So we are also looking at what global experience we have for us to move on to ensure that our children, the childhood is happy and constructive. So, I mean, the very question is why children need education. And I would always look at Swami Vivekananda's quote, which very rarely we see something better than what Swamiji has said, the purpose of education is manifestation of perfection which is already in man. If it is manifestation, then the school should be more facilitating. So the facilitating role the teachers play or the parents play, we have to really look at what kind of facilitating role we are playing for the manifestation of perfection, which to bring out inherent potential which is there in every child, irrespective of disability, irrespective of the caste, irrespective of age group, gender. It is inherent in every child. So how do we bring that potential to the outer space so that it is used? It's like a rich potential. Unless it is used, it just goes waste. So we have to provide an opportunity to see that every bit of potential is used. And that manifestation comes only when there is a facilitating positive environment at home and at school and in the community. So we have to look at from many angles. So it is not just school. So we have to go a little deeper into what contributes. The other concern, what made me to look into this issue is the large number of dropouts, especially in the rural areas. So we have seen very high dropouts of children with disabilities. And our study shows that whenever we ask, why did you leave the school? It is complete disconnect with the real life. So we were looking at why children don't enjoy what they learn in school. So we looked at the lack of joy, lack of happiness is one of the key factors that may be resulting in the highest dropouts rate in rural areas. And I'm talking about with a specific reference to children with diverse disabilities. As I said, the entire concept of quality, of course, NEP has a lot of focus on the entire NEP. I was part of the CABE of Ministry of Education. So the chapter 6 looks at a deeper level. So if we are really looking at the quality, and this quality can come only when there is an inclusive and equitable environment in schools. So we have to ask ourselves, our existing schools, whether they are inclusive, they are equitable, and I would leave the question to all of you to go deeper into that issue to see that how non-discriminating the school environment is and how inclusive it is, and how we can really look at equitable quality in terms of what is relevant, socially, culturally appropriate to the diverse conditions what we see in India, because we see the diversity is built into the Indian fabric. So we have to see whether one rule, whether can fit all, is a very big question, because when we work in states like Jammu Kashmir or Nagaland or in Karnataka, the entire situation is different. So we have to have more tailor-made solutions rather than ready-made. I don't want to go into details of what NEP talks about, because you are all part of NCERT and you are all well versed. But all that I would say is, when we talk of equity, we have to really look at equity and quality and inclusion as the foundations for the quality of education. And the quality of education depends on how well child enjoys, stays, completes, benefits from education. So I would only raise questions here in this presentation, because there are no oversimplified solutions or conclusion that we can draw upon right now, because it needs a collective effort from each and every one of us, from every nook and corner of our country. Though we have studies from NIMHANS, we really don't have the data on incidence and prevalence rate of mental health issues in children. So the data that incidence, there are two data which we look at. Incidence data, it is almost absent, not only for mental health, for all disabilities. We don't have that data as such, so we have to work on that. The prevalence data that is available, it is not adequate to look at rural, tribal, urban, semi-hilly areas, we don't have a data which says, where we can say this is the prevalence rate of disability. The symptoms is quite established. Here I have taken the guidelines that is given by United States on what are the symptoms one would see in children, which the Manodarpan guidelines, it is already there. I'm sure that would be more relevant because I have not seen that. But this is the larger ones, which depression can feel different for different children. So it is not one. So that is, my focus is, let us not look at the entire issue as something which manifests, which presents, which displays in all children in the same way. So it is the diversity, it is the individual differences that matters a lot, and that we need to be very sensitive when we are looking at mental health issues of children. Similarly, the solutions. So what could be the signs and symptoms? It could be at the physical level, tiredness, low energy, even when rested, restlessness, difficulty in concentrating, difficulty in carrying out daily activities, changes in appetite, sleep patterns, aches or pains that have no obvious cause. These are all some of the manifestations which we see in children when they have stress, when they have disturbed. So which is always reflected in terms of physical symptoms. The other symptoms at the emotional and mental level is persistent sadness, anxiousness, irritability, fear, loss of interest in friends, activities, withdrawal from others, and loneliness, feeling of worthlessness, hopelessness, taking risks that they wouldn't normally take, self-harming or suicidal thoughts. Experiencing one or more of these symptoms mean a child is affected by depression, and it's very important for the school, for the parent to address this. Early signs, if we ignore it, becomes there are 4 levels of manifestations. It could be mild, moderate, severe, and profound. If we don't identify at mild level, it would lead to moderate, then severe, and profound. So it is always easy to nip at the bud, and if early support is given, a lot can be achieved. So it's very, very important to recognize early signs. Who can do it? Whether the teacher is the right person, whether we need a separate system or support system, we can discuss and look at it later. One experiment what we did was we felt the children need a support system to schools. So multi-utility learning stations in rural areas is one thing which we have tried out, where for a cluster of schools, a support system is given where children, they work, they enjoy, they spend time in nature, they connect with the curriculum, and we use technology like it could be Alexa, it could be learning stations, gamification of learning and all that, and also hands-on experience on mini projects, group projects, all that we are seeing that they call her Akka. Akka in Kannada means sister. So we don't want to use the word teacher. So instead of that, we use the term Akka. They were opening with Akka, then they were not opening with teachers. So why it happens, we need to go a little deeper into it. So a volunteer from the village, a graduate who was trained, can run and give this support to a cluster of schools in rural areas. So we also saw that the desire to leave the schools went down, and they wanted to stay back in schools and learn better. And they were extremely interested in learning. And suddenly we saw a huge interest in going to school and learning. And those children who wanted to quit the school and go back to farming, they changed their mind with when we introduced this Nanda Gokula learning stations for the cluster schools. So here are some things one can do to support. One is to find out what is happening. So how they are falling, how they are feeling. Someone need to ask them, who is that person is the question. Whether we are counselors for the entire country, we are a vast country. Whether virtual support can help. There are questions whether we need persons is in flesh and blood to give support, whether volunteers. Volunteerism is something which we have to promote to give the mental health support. We have to look at who is going to spend time and build an environment of warmth, reassurance, encouraging them, and age appropriate activities, and remove that fear of from which is created, could be from parents, could be from school, and the stress that is created. How do we really do and go about it? We need to look at it a little bit more in deeply. So the stress, we can see a lot of work in the journal by Christopher Munsey in the American Journal on mental health and in children, where the source says, no, why kids aren't all right. Why? So it is a global issue. It is not just Indian issue. So we have to really look into that and answer these questions. And see, we have been used to like, okay, keep quiet, no, shut up, don't talk. So, but a child, where the child can get an environment where to communicate, to express the inner feelings, inner stress, inner joy. So they don't have many people, because especially I see that in urban areas where both parents are busy, and grandparents, they are on virtual mode especially in cities like Bangalore. It is always on virtual mode. They don't even see the grandparents as often we used to see. So it all has happened. The joy of having grandparents, where they were the stress busters, where they gave a lot of support system to children, all that is absent with the single family system. With the nuclear families, with the collapse of joint family system, there is absolutely no one. I see children sitting hours and hours gazing out of the window because there is no one and there is nothing to do. So we have to really look at with whom they would speak. Who is that person who will spend time listening to them, listening to the silly talk, whatever talk they do, but someone who can really spend time, quality time with them. That adult is missing in the present child, which is a matter of a serious concern. We need to look at that aspect. And stressful surroundings could be people in and around, fighting the neighborhood or fights within the house, alcoholism, or seeing the misery outside. All that creates a lot of stress in children. So whether the environment is safe, it is not safe, but how do we really give a support system? We need to really look into that very deeply, because we see that child is growing in an environment where it is not very conducive and positive for the child's development. In fact, I see even in very young children, there is no time for the parent to spend time with the child and no grandparents to spend time. It is always some caregiver, and we have to address those issues. And even in rural areas, what we see is they are left on their own, which is good, but with wrong influences, they get into very destructive habits very early in life. We have to really address those issues. So it is quite a complex issue what we are talking about, no simple solutions. So to the impact of mobile devices, television and internet on mental health, I think it is, if we neglect that, we are going to have much larger problems I would say, in our country, because there is mobile phones are given by parents just to keep children engaged so that they don't bother them. And I also see using mobile phones for learning for very, very young children. There are many issues which will all result in a higher level of mental health issues unless we wake up. And we have to look at the access to internet and television, which is not monitored. And parents, I would not, don't quote me outside this conference, but I see a lot of irresponsible parenting. So where parents watch crime, parents watch programs, and children are there and just asking them to stop, not to enter the room, that is not going to work. So we have to really look at how we can really enhance the responsible parenting, so which is quite an area of concern with the kind of nuclear families and the patterns what we see. Not only in rural areas, I was amazed to see even in remote villages in Himalayas. I was surprised to see that even there, the impact of mobile is so high. So, what is that? The child is given access. It is like a cafeteria, so which has too much of exposure and unwanted exposure. So, screen time, sedentary life will lead, and social interaction, all that will lead to a lot of behaviors. It could be excessive screen time can lead to a lot of negative impact, and positive impact can only come when it is double-edged sword. Technology is double-edged sword. It can act as a Ravana, it can act as a Rama. But now, if without monitoring, it can be a Ravana and it can destroy everything. So it is high time we wake up and see how, including artificial intelligence, how we are going to use it in a very positive way. We need it. I support a lot, but it has to be monitored and it has to be used adequately. It is a double-edged sword. Sleep disruption and parental concerns. So parental controls and monitoring tools can help. So we need to really look at how we can really build the capacity of parents through responsible parenting. Addiction dependency, I think I would not go into that, but there are many things that would lead to a lot of behaviors. And a dependency, once the controlling, can have a lot of symptoms, and teachers should be well aware of how it works. And teacher training curriculum, whether the B.Ed level, at the M.Ed level, this should become an integral part. So every teacher needs an exposure, maybe a 4-credit course on mental wellness and equitable inclusion. So it is very important that every teacher has knowledge, skills, and competency to address these issues. I would give, if we have a support system in terms of online courses, in terms of opportunities, so we can really provide a lot of support to parents, caregivers, educators. So we are using the word caregivers because in many cases we don't see the real parents. There are more functional parents who really take care of children. So we need to look at how we are going to build their habits and see that they are become responsible in their habits, and see that they don't set any bad example for a child, because that can create a lot of problems, because the child is not in a position to choose between what is right and what is wrong, what is appropriate, what is not appropriate. So there are many misconceptions about childhood disability and mental wellness. Many people, I see, especially with teachers I interact, they think that children with disabilities have behavior problems. I said, who told you that children with disabilities have behavior problems? It is not compulsory or mandatory. Any problem behavior, with whatever may be the type of disability, it is acquired behaviors, and acquired behavior comes because the child has no positive behaviors. It is almost like it is an empty vessel. You keep a vessel open, and after some time what you see is dust. But if you clean the vessel every day, that dust is absent. So behavioral problems are like dust. So unless we clean it every day, a child would acquire. What happens with children with disabilities? There is no support system which gives these positive activities to the child, and child is not in a position to find those activities on their own because of lack of peer support, because of due to disability. They may not have friends in the neighborhood, and they are also alone because their siblings go to school and they stay at home, and people have difficulty in understanding them. All that would result in challenging behaviors. But disability has got nothing to do with problem behaviors. So it is all acquired behaviors. So we need to pay attention to that. Because of lack of time, I'm not going into details. So how do we address acquired behaviors? The teachers should know well about the ABC analysis. How do they do the real management, concentric circles, spiral circle management? All the teachers should be well versed. It's all very simple. It doesn't really take much time. But these tools, it really helps a teacher to manage. These tools really help parents to understand. So it's very important to give these tools, which we all know, to them so that they can use it, because just having a behavior scientist having all these tools or a counselor having these tools, it is not going to help. So parents should have it. Every teacher, Anganwadi workers, they all need to have this, which we have tried to integrate in our programs on Portage to every village. It's an early childhood program, but we need to do it to every teacher. And NEP really gives a very good support system for us to introduce in teacher training programs at different levels from early childhood to secondary level. So we have to, I would conclude my presentation. So it is important that integrating social emotional learning into school curriculum is very important. Making learning relevant to socio-cultural context, connecting with their day-to-day grassroots level life, and making learning joyful. So we are working a lot on gamification of learning. So all this really helps, and integration of the multiple subjects so that the learning is inclusive. It doesn't divided into subjects and disciplines. So we have to really look at how it is connected, and the projects where the child really learns and consolidates and generalizes and takes back and teaches teachers by their enhanced learning. All that is possible when we give the support system to the child. So here, the school climate and culture, we need to pay attention. For teacher training, I have said peer relationships, peers can be very supportive, and they also cause a lot of stress. So unless monitored by teachers, unless there is a school discipline, unless there is do's and don'ts built into the school, all this can happen in schools where a child can be very, very cruel to another child. So why? Not because the intentions, because the child would attend for the attention seeking, and if there is no one to monitor and support, they can create a lot of stress. And we see in many schools, stress created by peer group is quite high, and it is because it is not monitored and it's not controlled by the school system. So we need to pay attention to that. So I would really go with say working in partnership with parents, with self-help mutual support groups in schools to support parents, and looking at assessment and measurement. We have to see that what is relevant to Indian context. How do we really assess? But sometimes whenever we use the term assessment, I get worried that everything becomes quantifiable. But something like mental health, putting it into numbers can lead to a lot of problems. We have to look at other qualitative measures, indicators, to look at the school health, teachers' health, so child's health. We have to come with more qualitative aspects to see the level of wellness of school. And behavior system, I have already said it's very important to introduce that, to look into the teacher training program, and also working in partnership with parents and also the community. So I would say partnership with community, with the panchayats is very, very important, because disconnect of school with the local panchayats, local community, can lead to a lot of stressful problem for children. So we need to really look at those aspects. We have a lot of studies that it talks about prevalence rate at 12.1%. It could be more, it could be less. As I said, regarding the prevalence data, what exactly is the prevalence data to cut across rural, tribal, hilly areas, and say in the urban areas? I don't come to the conclusions, though we have 2011 census. We have to look at the next census that is coming, whether these issues are included into the census. We may come out with more dependable database for planning purpose. So, Dhanyavad. So I have shared my presentation with Professor Anil Kumar. So you are most welcome, and I thank you again for this opportunity. And I really look forward. I was an integral part of NCERT since 1980s. So I'm very happy with the great work NCERT has taken. Dhanyavad.
Thank you, Professor, for the keynote address for the two-day Manodarpan workshop of Manodarpan Cell NCERT. Madam, you have highlighted the manifestations of the students who are having mental issues or mental health problems. You also told that it is a collective effort to handle this, and early identification is very much required. We need to orient the teachers, and again it is a collective effort, and parents have a major role. Positive parenting is a major concern nowadays. And you also highlighted that we do not have sufficient professionals in the mental health field. So we need to train various activities, online education and other means. We need to develop a support system for providing support to our students, and not only students, the whole human beings, so that they are not suffering from such mental issues for a longer time. Thank you very much, Madam, for your wonderful speech and valuable suggestions. And now we move on to the last session, that is providing vote of thanks to the chief guests and other participants. I call upon Professor Manodarpan, Head DE, to make a vote of thanks.
Good morning to one and all. Indeed, it was a beautiful session today. We were illuminated with the words of both Professor Indumati Madam and Professor Anjum Sebia. First of all, I would like to propose my thanks to the chief guest, Professor Indumati Rao, who is the CBR Network Directors of the Southeast Asian region, and she is one of our close colleagues associated very often with NCERT and Regional Institute of Education. Madam, we are very grateful to you for being with us today. We would have been very happy to host you here in Mysore, but as you said, though you're just a few hours away from us, you were not able to come here. Nevertheless, your session was elaborate, it was illuminating, and also you touched upon various aspects of mental health and well-being and the role of various stakeholders as to how we can work together to address these issues. Thank you once again, Madam, for being with us as the chief guest today. I would also like to thank Professor Anjum Sebia. Madam is Dean Academic and in charge Manodarpan cell at NCERT. And she is, as Professor Anil Kumar said, the mentor for us. Anything to do with Manodarpan, Sahyog, Paricharcha, guidance and counseling. Madam is one person who's easily approachable by us and who really guides us. And that's how many of us have taken into this field of Manodarpan and all the activities that are concerned with it. Madam, your extensive presentation on Manodarpan initiatives is very useful to all the participants today. Thank you once again, Madam, for being with us here today. And though it is online, we would have loved that you come over to Mysore sometime. We know you're very busy, but nevertheless, you have spent time with us today, giving your inputs on this. I especially thank the principal, Professor Sukumar Sir of the Regional Institute of Education, Mysore, for being here and giving his initial remarks and very valid statements that he made. Thank you, sir, for being with us here. I would like to thank the Deputy Commissioner, Dr. Gopal Krishna of the JNV Southern Region, and also the other Deputy Commissioners of KV and Navodaya, and also all other senior members who've joined us online from the states. Thank you all for joining us online for this program. Special thanks to all the principals, vice principals of KV, Navodaya Vidyalaya, the state government, the diets, SCRTs and teachers who've joined both online and those who are here with us today in the RIM AV Hall. Thank you all for being here today. And I'm sure both the days will be beneficial for you so that you will go away with a lot of inputs and takeaways from this 2-day program. Thank you to all the faculty of the NIE Delhi who are present there online from the Department of DEPFE and other departments who have joined us online for this program. And also the faculty and my colleagues here at RIE Mysore who've joined here for this program. Thank you all for being here today. I'm sure you all have benefited from this program. Special thanks and a loud applause to Professor Anil Kumar, who is the coordinator of this program, Manodarpan, and he has been regularly, giving us inputs on Manodarpan, conducting the Paricharcha sessions. Sahayog, and Sir has also been the former program coordinator for the diploma course in guidance and counseling. Thank you, Sir, for your efforts in conducting this program. We are very happy that the research scholars and the students of RI Mysore were able to join for this program. I'm sure both the days you are also going to benefit because you're going to be further field workers when you get into the field. Special thanks to CIT for all the online arrangements. Thanks to the studio personnel of RI Mysore and the WET Mr. Subaya and Mr. Bhaskar, the DE staff who've helped in the organization of this program, the photographer here with us, and of course, we are grateful to the Ministry of Education for giving us an opportunity to conduct a program like this, which is of immense value to the society. Thank you once again to each one of you for joining for this program, both online and offline. Thank you.
I also take opportunity to thank the head DE, Professor Kalpana Venugopal, for conducting this particular program at RI Mysore nicely. I take this opportunity again to welcome our next resource person, Dr. Virendra, C. Virendra, sir has already reached from Hyderabad here. Welcome to the session, sir. Now, before leaving for tea, I think we'll go for a national anthem. I think for the online participants, we will be joining back after 15 minutes after the national anthem. Now we request Daddy and other team members to come here for a national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्रविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Yeah, now we will disperse for the tea and join after 10 minutes. Online participants are requested to stay back after 10 minutes. We are requested to be there for all sessions. Online attendance are taken to consider for providing certificates also. Please be online there. Thank you very much. Thank you Anjum Madam and CIT people. Thank you.
अब नहीं है हिचकिचाना मन के स्वास्थ्य पर है ध्यान लगाना
अब नहीं है हिचकिचाना मन के स्वास्थ्य पर है ध्यान लगाना।
मन की सेहत भी है जरूरी, काउंसलर से फिर क्यों दूरी।
मन की सेहत भी है जरूरी, काउंसलर से फिर क्यों दूरी।
चलो अब अपना फोन उठाओ, मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाओ। चलो अब अपना फोन उठाओ, मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाओ। मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने, 844-844-0632। अब नहीं है हिचकिचाना, मन के स्वास्थ्य पर है ध्यान लगाना।
अब नहीं है हिचकिचाना, मन के स्वास्थ्य पर है ध्यान लगाना।
मन की सेहत भी है जरूरी, काउंसलर से फिर क्यों दूरी।
मन की सेहत भी है जरूरी, काउंसलर से फिर क्यों दूरी।
चलो अब अपना फोन उठाओ, मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाओ। चलो अब अपना फोन उठाओ, मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाओ। मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने, 844-844-0632। अब नहीं है हिचकिचाना, मन के स्वास्थ्य पर है ध्यान लगाना।
अब नहीं है हिचकिचाना, मन के स्वास्थ्य पर है ध्यान लगाना।
मन की सेहत भी है जरूरी, काउंसलर से फिर क्यों दूरी।
मन की सेहत भी है जरूरी, काउंसलर से फिर क्यों दूरी।
चलो अब अपना फोन उठाओ, मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाओ। चलो अब अपना फोन उठाओ, मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाओ। मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने, 844-844-0632। अब नहीं है हिचकिचाना, मन के स्वास्थ्य पर है ध्यान लगाना।
अब नहीं है हिचकिचाना, मन के स्वास्थ्य पर है ध्यान लगाना।
मन की सेहत भी है जरूरी, काउंसलर से फिर क्यों दूरी।
मन की सेहत भी है जरूरी, काउंसलर से फिर क्यों दूरी।
चलो अब अपना फोन उठाओ, मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाओ। चलो अब अपना फोन उठाओ, मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाओ। मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने, 844-844-0632। अब नहीं है हिचकिचाना, मन के स्वास्थ्य पर है ध्यान लगाना।
अब नहीं है हिचकिचाना, मन के स्वास्थ्य पर है ध्यान लगाना।
मन की सेहत भी है जरूरी, काउंसलर से फिर क्यों दूरी।
मन मन की सेहत भी है जरूरी, काउंसलर से फिर क्यों दूरी।
चलो अब अपना फोन उठाओ, मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाओ। चलो अब अपना फोन उठाओ, मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाओ। मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने, 844-844-0632। अब नहीं है हिचकिचाना, मन के स्वास्थ्य पर है ध्यान लगाना।
अब नहीं है हिचकिचाना, मन के स्वास्थ्य पर है ध्यान लगाना।
मन की सेहत भी है जरूरी, काउंसलर से फिर क्यों दूरी।
मन की सेहत भी है जरूरी, काउंसलर से फिर क्यों दूरी।
चलो अब अपना फोन उठाओ, मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाओ। चलो अब अपना फोन उठाओ, मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाओ। मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने, 844-844-0632। अब नहीं है हिचकिचाना, मन के स्वास्थ्य पर है ध्यान लगाना।
अब नहीं है हिचकिचाना, मन के स्वास्थ्य पर है ध्यान लगाना।
मन की सेहत भी है जरूरी, काउंसलर से फिर क्यों दूरी।
मन की सेहत भी है जरूरी, काउंसलर से फिर क्यों दूरी।
चलो अब अपना फोन उठाओ, मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाओ। चलो अब अपना फोन उठाओ, मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाओ। मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने, 844-844-0632। अब नहीं है हिचकिचाना, मन के स्वास्थ्य पर है ध्यान लगाना।
अब नहीं है हिचकिचाना, मन के स्वास्थ्य पर है ध्यान लगाना।
मन की सेहत भी है जरूरी, काउंसलर से फिर क्यों दूरी।
मन की सेहत भी है जरूरी, काउंसलर से फिर क्यों दूरी।
चलो अब अपना फोन उठाओ, मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाओ। चलो अब अपना फोन उठाओ, मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाओ। मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाएं, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाएं। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाएं, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाएं। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने, 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844। चार 0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने 844-844-0632। सोच में सकारात्मकता लाएं, जीवन को बेहतर बनाएं।
मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाए, मनोबल अपना और बढ़ाए। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम। चलो आज ही प्रण ले हम, मानसिक स्वास्थ्य सुधारे हम।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने 844-844-0632। अब नहीं है हिचकिचाना, मन के स्वास्थ्य पर है ध्यान लगाना।
अब नहीं है हिचकिचाना, मन के स्वास्थ्य पर है ध्यान लगाना।
मन की सेहत भी है जरूरी, काउंसलर से फिर क्यों दूरी।
मन की सेहत भी है जरूरी, काउंसलर से फिर क्यों दूरी।
चलो अब अपना फोन उठाओ, मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाओ। चलो अब अपना फोन उठाओ, मनोदर्पण पर कॉल लगाओ।
मनोदर्पण के काउंसलर से परामर्श पाने के लिए डायल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 844-844-0632। नंबर एक बार फिर सुने 844-84।
Okay. This session we will have two speakers. Both will be joining from Delhi, NCERT. The first we will have Dr. Susmita Chakrabarti. She is also a member of Manodarpan Cell NCERT. After her session, we will also have Ruji. I think Dr. Ruji will be joining first. After that, only Susmita Chakrabarti. Okay. I think to introduce 1 minute. Okay. Ruji, I will only talk about. I think Dr. Ruji Shukla. She is working as a faculty at the Department of Foundations of Psychology, Education and Psychology at the NCERT. She has been working for a longer time in the department, actively involved in the diploma program of guidance and counseling, and also various activities of the department. She has been involved in the survey, student survey, what Madam was, Professor Anju was talking about, the mental health survey of NCERT, and now also involved in the mental health issues of teachers survey. She has been quite actively involved in development of various textbooks, and also involved in producing various modules for the NCERT in the area of guidance and counseling as well as value education. Madam, I hope you are there. Dr. Ruji.
Good morning, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah, welcome to the session. And now I think you can also give a background about you and then begin your session. Okay, teachers are first, the initial counselors. Okay, go ahead with your session. Thank you, madam.
Thank you so much for the introduction, sir. Good morning to all the participants. And as sir just introduced me, I have been part of the Manodarpan cell from the inception, and I've had the good fortune of working on most of the activities that Manodarpan has taken, and Professor Sibia ma'am has talked about in the morning session. So taking the understanding that has been built through the inaugural session, I would proceed on trying to help our participants understand that teachers and teaching is one of the roles that enables us to be first level counselors. And this is an idea that has roots in our Indian practices of education, where teachers are seen as gurus that guide, not just in the building of knowledge, but also as people who help us grow in person and realize our full potentials by learning how to overcome shortcomings, overcoming everyday problems, stressors. And in this regard, like ma'am said in the morning, the department where the Manodarpan cell is housed in NCERT has been, since its inception as a department in NCERT, been running a diploma course in guidance and counseling. That was initially started with the idea of teacher as a counselor, and in which every teacher was visualized as a counselor. And we train teachers to realize this goal and build their skills in order to provide services that help children become more, individuals with a holistic development at affective, cognitive, and social levels. And this diploma now is running for a good 60 years, and we train counselors every year who are now also part of our Manodarpan tele helpline. And with this understanding, I would like to bring to the forth that the National Education Policy 2020 has also realized and talked about these aspects in education and the role of teacher. And very clearly in chapters and paras, it has mentioned that education to be holistic is not just about cognition. It is also about health that includes mental health. And in saying so, it has put the onus of a mentally healthy child on the school system, with the teacher as a pivot around whom the system revolves and who sets the pace to the system, with the administrator in the lead. My colleague from the Manodarpan cell, Dr. Sushmita Chakravarti, will be talking about the whole school approach later in the session. Shall not elaborate much upon that. Next slide, please. If you focus on these lines, it says that it is a lot of, literacy, numeracy, foundational skills, cognitive capacities, critical thinking, इन सब की बातें होती हैं, लेकिन social, ethical और emotional capacities are also as important, and they should become a focus of the policy, the curriculum, and the everyday practice in the school system. Next slide, please. Not detailing out things, but there are certain paras in the National Education Policy that have very clearly listed out how things are going to be implemented, how they are going to achieve the aim of holistic education and development with value orientation, with emotional and cognitive health of the child being ensured, not just through nutrition, but also the existence of counselors, social workers, parental involvement in the entire process of education. And doing this, it has talked about a child that is educated with all constitutional values, emotional skills, and a regard for, the life and things around him. And if you see in this slide, the last 4 lines that are taken from the page 4 and 6 of the document of the policy clearly state that the teachers and faculty are the heart of the learning process. Their recruitment, continuous professional development, and positive working conditions, etc., are also taken account of, seeing the teacher as the heart or the pivot around which the system revolves, because they are the ones who take the system to the child in their everyday nuances in the classroom and in the school corridors. It has talked about, next slide please. It has talked about, lot of aspects in curriculum and in the school system that should be oriented towards aspect of mental health, like drug abuse, like, providing first aid in terms of physical and mental being, and looking and taking concern of all other mental health aspects. These have continued through the entire policy document, being woven at every chapter level in different forms, culminating in the assessment part also. where it has been said that the assessment of the child also has to be a 360 holistic assessment, which should and must involve affective aspects and psychomotor domains. Saying this, now that the ground from the policy and the documents is built on the teacher as the core of the system of education, I now, would very strongly propose that teachers are the ones who can help and orient the entire system to the well-being. The well-being aspects, which will be taken up in the next session by my colleague. But teachers are the first level counselors, because once a child is observed with a shift from normalcy, be it being sleepy in the classroom to being very quiet or extra, active, it is the teacher who takes the first note, and it is the teacher who determines how the process is henceforth going to be. Whether it is going to be an ignored process, an ignored knowing, or whether it is going to be a process of engagement with the child's mental health or referral if required, and looping in the entire system to come and support the child's mental health. Now, before we move on much further, it would only be nice if one could understand the small nitty-gritties of exactly the formalities in terms of a definition of mental health. And the World Health Organization has, in its definition, pointed certain aspects that become the core when we say what mental health. The first one that I would point here is that every person or child is or has realized their abilities. Because if there is lack of achievement of your basic core, your basic abilities, it reflects on an inability either in the environment or in the system somewhere where the child has not been able to focus, harness, and get support to build these abilities. The second aspect that the definition very potently talks about is that coping with normal stressors. There are major traumas, major stressors in life, but coping with the normal everydays is what marks mental health existence towards positive or negative. So one should look out for this aspect, that whether the child or the student in your school, your colleagues and people around are able to cope with normal stresses. Sometimes we react. It's a small instance, but we overreact, or we react beyond expected, beyond our normal personalities. It is then that, you need to put on a red flag that this person probably needs some support, some help in the realm of mental health, which probably is not in the best state as of that instance or that time. The third aspect that the definition has pointed towards is that he or she can work productively, and in this certain case, a child is academically or in the school, whether it is sports or arts or other forums, is able to contribute productively in one or two or maybe many fields. If that productive involvement is missing, then that also needs to be looked into as a reflector of the mental health of the person in question. Further and finally, the definition talks about contribution to community, where you are able to give. Apart from receiving, you are also in a position of giving. That is also a marker of good mental health. So having, next slide please. So in totality, if we say, the facts about mental health is that ऐसा नहीं है, stressors नहीं होंगे, या you will not be in a situation where maybe you will feel handicapped of handling stresses, which are major trauma situations. It is not the absence of such situations or the absence of disorders, but it is in some sense, some adjustment problems or maybe some things that you are unable to deal with. Secondly, it talks about aspects, mental health can be reflected, is reflected in emotional, psychological, and social aspects. And if any or all of these are compromised, then that needs to be looked into. Affective concerns, of course, reflect mental health. Then how we handle our stresses. Mental health is not just about handling the stresses, but it is also about positively or constructively handling and coping with those stresses. There are coping styles which are not very, conducive, which are not very positive, which in the long run neither determine the growth of the individual nor are effective for the system. So just coping is not enough. The coping should be in a positive, constructive direction. So now talking about the three aspects that we did, emotional, social, and psychological. Emotional aspects maybe, to mention a few would be happiness, a sense of satisfaction. On the psychological realm, they are like, your ability to responsibly deal with everyday life challenges, tasks, and the satisfaction that you eventually have with life at large. And socially speaking, they are better adjustment, contribution to society, being engaged in social units, contributing to society and community at large. If we see, there is mental health is reflected in positive functioning and positive emotions. So if we talk about positive functioning, they can be reflected in behaviors like you have good management, which might be management of resources, management of relationships. You are able to do that. Secondly, you are able to maintain healthy, constructive relationships. And your productivity at work is satisfactory or good. Meaningful social interactions, your everyday interactions with people you know or you do not know are in the healthy and meaningful direction and do not leave any stress or strain after the interaction. Positive emotions are more or less the same, as in they are these functions or behaviors that you have indulged in which are positive would leave you with a positive sense of feeling that give you a sense of being happy and satisfied. Now that's an understanding of what mental health is and how to identify a person who is, having challenges or is in a stress state. We now move on to what is it that teachers can do in a classroom or a school system that affects the school, the child, and their classroom teaching and academic achievement. The first thing would be that a teacher should be well aware and in the know of information regarding the student. And this information should be collected at regular intervals, updated at regular intervals, and maintained as records, which we normally call as CRCs, which are cumulative record cards. Then they should be in touch with their students as guardians who are guiding and directing them on not just academic aspects, but on other aspects of personal social connotations. Then they should have the ability to observe. आप जब classroom में होते हैं तो when you are with your students, you can, by virtue of being with those students day in and day out, you can identify the small behavioral alterations that the child projects, which is a reflection of the mental health well-being status. So you should be in a position to identify these and then mark the underlying problems that the students are facing, which may range from financial to physical to emotional to maybe something more complicated. Then as a teacher, through your pedagogy and your classroom interactions and your subject, you are able to empower the children with 21st century skills. Not just knowledge, but a behavior, a skill that helps them sail through the everyday of life. Building the capacity, the skill of resilience is another important aspect that teachers need and must look at in their, school duties. And with, supporting their students, not just knowledge, but a behavior. Then, like the document that we shared when we were doing the Manodarpan, activities detailing for you, we had shared the Umeed guidelines, we had shared the early identification of at-risk students. Teachers, as I said, by virtue of knowing the child in the everyday, can mark the difference between a child who was and who is different now, and therefore they should be able to identify the early signs of a compromised mental health. Because the better you prevent, the higher are the chances that mental health issues are not going to escalate to the level of disorders or illnesses. So teachers must and should be capable of identifying these early signs, and for that I request that all present may please encourage their school teachers and the teachers present here to encourage their colleagues to look at these two documents, the early identification handbook and the Umeed guidelines, for getting a hang of what are those behavioral, emotional aspects that kind of reflect a compromised mental health state. Then after you have identified a student, your job would not stop there. Initial and continuous support must come from a teacher who's dealing and handling the child on an everyday basis. Of course, if the situation requires, support is going to come from a very experienced person from the field of psychology in the form of a counselor or a psychiatrist or a psychologist. But your support does not stop at any point in time. You are one of the significant others, and therefore the support must come from you. And of course, with the increasing need of, having a professional identity, having financial security for mental health, career counseling also becomes a purview that comes under the teacher's role. And basic knowledge, yes, we do all have. But if your child or the student in your class requires any further assistance in terms of career counseling, because career has been seen through our surveys and through our researches that have been done in the department, we know that career is a very potent cause of stress, a very potent cause of anxiety, and if left unattended, it can lead to major mental health issues. Of course, facilitating optimum academic achievement. And when I say optimum academic achievement, I mean a child's capabilities, abilities, like we talked about in the definition, must be attained. Every child cannot be a 90% plus. But if the child is capable of achieving 70%, she must not stop at 40% or 50%. So a teacher must be able to and should facilitate the child in achieving their potential. Now, having said all this, there are certain issues which are very specific to the school system or which come to the school system, which are challenges to mental health. And teachers must not just know about them, but have a fair idea of how to, handle them and the way they can continuously provide support with the help of the counselor or the psychologist in the system. These may range from issues that are arising from the families, the society at large, the school system itself, the psychopedagogical issues or assistances that might be required, because a child who is unable to comprehend, understand, and perform in class is bound to become susceptible and vulnerable to a lot of mental health, challenges posed by that are posed by the peer group or the parental expectation and henceforth. So psychopedagogical assistance and issues are also common. Then illegal substance abuse and use is also a rising concern in the school system. We also have cases of prevalence of physical and verbal violence, which are coming from all quarters. Right from the school system in terms of the administrators, the teachers. We do hear of media cases where teachers have indulged in this kind of violence. This kind of violence also comes from peers and families. So teachers need to be aware and capable and have the know-how of the legalities and other aspects that will go into dealing with such behaviors and other deviant behaviors that we call like skipping classes, stealing, or aggression, self-harm. Now to continue, vocational guidance has also come up in a big way. The policy also talks about it. And, while the students are reaching their final years, like 10th or 12th, they start exploring these vocational realms. And a teacher who is handling students at these levels has to provide more time for these issues than other issues. And then there are, community-specific interventions that a teacher can plan in order to support students in the school, which is especially involving the community so that the assets that are available in the community in the form of physical assets, in the form of assets like scholarships, financial supports to students, availability of hospitals and experts in the area of mental health or other physical ailments, special abilities, classes, and so on and so forth. Endless list of resources that a community can offer. A teacher needs to know, be in liaison with, and continuously harness and pass on that information to the needy students who seek forums. Now, frequent problems that are met in school are, of course, there are children who get into behavioral issues. School adaptability in the primary years is also a big concern, and how one handles it sets the pace for school engagement for the child for the rest of his or her life. So adaptability needs to be taken up, and with the NEP offering and taking 3-year plus students under its ambit, this responsibility has increased multifold, and therefore teachers at the primary level also need to take cognizance of affective aspects in students' engagement to school and learning, apart from other, numeracy, language, etc. Absenteeism is a behavioral fallout of mental health challenges, and this needs to be understood. It is a disciplinary issue, yes, but that disciplinary issue has arisen from some mental health challenge that the child is facing, in either coming from the school or from the family, which needs to be understood by the teacher and addressed accordingly, not necessarily only as a disciplinary issue. Certain other things have also been mentioned in this slide, but I'll move on. There are family issues that also pose a threat to the child's well-being and mental health. It can be as, what should I say? Material, as the low socio-economic status of the family. बच्चा के किताबें नहीं है, adequate pencils, pens, erasers नहीं है, proper bag नहीं है, he or she cannot afford a proper meal. These are challenges that come from a low socioeconomic status family that sends their children to school. Government has taken care of a lot of issues of low socioeconomic situation students by providing midday meals, by providing low fees, by providing support in terms of finances, books, stationery. However, still mental health challenges continue to be posed to such students, and teachers need to take cognizance and support such students. Then single parenting, divorce, or single parent for certain reasons, which can be divorce or something else. But these students, by virtue of having only one parent, do have challenges, confusions in their minds that teachers need to take note of and handle these students in accordance with this understanding. Loss of a parent, which had happened for a lot of students during the COVID times, and even teachers did not have much clue of how to handle such situations. So I would suggest we had, for our Paricharcha sessions, we had 2 very wonderful sessions by NIMHANS experts on grieving. I would suggest you take a look at those sessions. They are available on YouTube, and they will give you an idea as to how to handle this aspect with students who have lost someone very dear in their family. And they're not even able to grieve appropriately or grieve at all. Then there are emotional problems that come with the family, which can range to a variety of reasons. Then there are issues of affective or very emotional nature that lead to a child feeling mentally unwell, unhealthy, or feeling low. They may be lack of affective response. If I may elaborate, there are children who crave touch, a hug, a good look of appreciation, a word of, appreciation again, that, you're good enough. That kind of an affective stroke that is required for a person to feel valued, for the self to develop positively, is missing in a lot of children. And sometimes we teachers also miss on these aspects in our everyday pedagogical processes. If we just add aspects of affective responses, which are positive strokes, they go a long way in building the mental health of the students. Then, school systems offer evaluation and assessment, but along with that assessment, there is no emotional support to a child or an emotional outlet to a child who has either performed very well, mediocre level, or poorly. We just leave it at the result and the distribution of the results. I think an affective involvement of the system with children is also important, and the teacher can take the forefront in this. Then, of course, physical and emotional abuse we talked about early in the presentation. Identity and self. Next slide, please. Identity and self are also important issues for adolescent age groups. That would be starting with class 8 to class 12 students. When they are forming their identity as, adolescent and then move on to young adulthood, they are, they are getting conscious of their body image. They are getting conscious of the fact as to how their peer group looks at them. And therefore, a lot of identity and self issues emerge. A teacher who takes cognizance of these aspects, understand the requirement of an adolescent child and why he behaves the way he behaves, will be better able to not just manage their own emotions, but also deal more positively and effectively with those children. So, disciplinary problems, we said, discipline is a problem. बच्चे सुनते नहीं हैं, आजकल के बच्चे ऐसे हैं वैसे हैं. But discipline is only a fallout, a behavioral expression of what's going on in the mind in terms of mental health and well-being. So please take discipline को देखिए, लेकिन उसके पीछे की वजह को जान के, उसको समझ के, उसको address कीजिए. So discipline gets taken care of automatically. To conclude, I would bring in here the survey that we talked about in the morning, the mental health and well-being survey of school students. That was done in year 2022. बहुत सी चीजें इस सर्वे से निकल के आई, वो आप लोग वेब पेज पे देख सकते हैं. The entire document is available on the MOE web page. But what was most important and stark was that children do crave for a lot of support and care from quarters, which most of the times either comes, either doesn't come, or does not come to the level they are expecting or wanting it to be. Teachers, parents, peers, they felt that there is a need to, get support to manage their feelings. And they did want it to come from parents, teachers, and friends. So, ऐसा नहीं है कि the child is ignorant of the fact that he has an available resource which is not being harnessed. So, teachers may take note of this finding and realize that, apart from your role as a knowledge provider, as a clarity provider, as a person who facilitates academic achievement, you also have a responsibility of ensuring that the grounding, the healthy grounding that is required for good academic achievement is also taken care of by your everyday, everything, behavior, talk, nuances, your looks, your everything speaks of how you look at a person. So the more positive they are, the happier the child will be in school, the more engaged the child will be in the school, and therefore the eventual, agenda of academic achievement, which
everybody looks up to, can be achieved much better. Then, just to give you an idea and to help you in understanding what is it that you should do. Mental health, ye hoti hai, problems aise hain, fine. But then, if I am a first level counselor, what is it that I can do? I have understood the issue. I have understood what mental health is. Now, what do I do? What you are psychologically speaking, हम लोग protective factors और risk factors बोलते हैं कि कुछ चीजें हैं, there are things that help us become strong and there are others that pull us down. So work on things that make you stronger and help you in handling and dealing with everyday stresses. The first and the foremost, and if I may say, the most important is relationships. If you have close relationships where you can just be yourself and say, okay, I made a mistake, but what do I do now? Okay, I'm feeling down and out. Please help me come back to normalcy. I think that is one of the most effective buffers that you may have in life. Then help your children and students, and of course yourself also, maintain a status of hopefulness. This too shall pass. ये फीलिंग जब तक रहती है तब तक बहुत सारे मेंटल हेल्थ इश्यूज को हम हैंडल कर पाते हैं. द मोमेंट यू लूज दिस वन एस्पेक्ट, you are bound to slip and keep slipping. So build this hopefulness in yourself and your students. Now, hopefulness बनाने के लिए बहुत जरूरी है कि हम अपना ऐसा एजेंडा ही नहीं रखें, ऐसे गोल्स ही ना रखें जो अनअचीवेबल कैटेगरी में आते हैं. So help your children make realistic goals. Have realistic expectations from your students. Right? Positive को build करिए. Decision making skills को strengthen करिए. The most stressful time is when you can't take a decision, whether to take leave or to go to school. Right? So if we can develop decision making skills, I think a lot of issues are handled by the person himself herself. So encourage decision making skills. Now, positively driven school. If you are doing the things that are required of a teacher as a knowledge giver and as a guide, then a school would look like someone where every member of the school has understanding, awareness, and contribution to the mental health and well-being. Students would like to come in the school. There would be no crying small babies at the gates of the doors who have to be dragged into classrooms. The student would not just pass out of the school with a 99% mark, but also go out to be a citizen who contributes positively to the nation, to the community, to the family, to the surrounding around him. Then you would have people who are resolving their conflicts in a much more constructive fashion than aggression or other negative methods that do not eventually lead to conflict resolution. They are only stopgap arrangements. There would be people in the system ranging from the school administrators right up to the support staff who have skills of resilience and negotiation, who can collaborate and non-violently express their disagreement on issues. Then people will be able to have an emotional engagement and redressal process, which does not make personal, aspersions, but a process that takes care of the emotional baggage of the person and offers solutions accordingly. Peace and value-driven approach, of course, and the end product would be minimum indiscipline, minimum incidences of violence and aggression. These days we see school systems have so many cases of aggression between peer group, between teacher and student, between teacher, and the list goes on. So I think these are all reflective of the need for working on mental health and the system to work together. Now, of course, teacher is responsible, and therefore I bring in this slide that the teacher is not the only person responsible. Eventually, she is part of the system. And the entire system needs to work together, not just the teacher. Because if a teacher alone is working, there will be differences. There will be very positive, effective differences that you will see in and around you. But the system will not be oriented and it will not be very long lasting. Therefore, the school principal, the coordinators, the in charges of different committees and forums, the PTA members, the parents, the staff, all need to come on board when it comes to mental health. The next presentation will talk in detail about this, so I'll leave it here at this. What can be some of the strategies that, apart from teacher being, in their behaviors, in their pedagogy, in their interaction with students, they can do certain parts, but what can be the other strategies that can help in building mental health aspects of students and empowering them to maintain and promote their mental well-being? The first would be, there is a big misconception that once the mental health problem has occurred, then guidance and counseling comes into the picture. Actually, guidance and counseling is also a very preventive approach to, mental health being addressed, maintained, and promoted. So, elimination of this understanding, encouraging your students to seeking help. I'm not feeling good, I'm feeling lonely. If there's a school counselor, please go to the school counselor. If there's a senior teacher, please go and talk about it. Let's not belittle the fact that he is feeling lonely and he wants to talk to someone. It is an issue and needs to be addressed, and it can be addressed by guidance and counseling also. Then, yes, ensuring of counselors. The policy has talked about it, has said that for the beginning, there might be a counselor at the cluster level, but eventually there will have to be a counselor in each school. So I think this will come into practice very soon, and these counselors need to support the teachers in their, work towards mental health and well-being of school students. And preparedness of school emotional well-being. The guidance and counseling worker at the school, along with the administration, should ensure practices in school, spaces in school, and forums in school. Like we talked about in our Umeed guidelines, we've talked about a school wellness team. The wellness is basically the mental wellness, the mental well-being. And such forums should be created, and the expertise of the counselor and the guidance professionals must be utilized to create such spaces in schools. Further, care, trust, and inclusive environment. Inclusion is not merely by having an inclusive classroom in terms of categories of people, in terms of people coming from different background. A true inclusion is when every person feels an equal part of that space. If that is created, only then can mental health of each person be ensured. Then curriculum also needs to take care of these aspects. Now that the policy has talked about the affective aspects, I'm sure all curriculum documents will and are propagating, taking up of well-being in a larger way through the curriculum. Then addressing developmentally appropriate socio-emotional concerns, like in the presentation we talked about adolescent issues, primary school child coming into the school and not adjusting to the school. Like that, every stage specific concern in the socio-emotional domain needs to be understood by the teacher, and every issue that is being handled by the teacher should be handled from the unique standpoint of the child, who is coming with a very unique individual dynamic background, compounded by stage-specific socio-emotional concerns. Only then will there be an effective redressal with insurance of mental health and well-being. And lastly, but not the least, our vocabulary should be positive. And our students should have a vocabulary where they can express themselves on an emotional front. They can say, okay, I'm lonely, then they can gauge the difference between I'm lonely and now I'm depressed, or now I need support, I can't handle it. These kind of vocabulary and understanding of emotional trajectory needs to be built in the students so as to help them seek support, and then making that support a non-tabooed exercise. Please skip this slide. Teacher training needs to incorporate all these aspects, because teachers, while doing pre-service, in-service training, do update their skills on in terms of their subject, in terms of the curriculum, in terms of lots of policy initiatives. And they also need to now take, effective inroads and understanding into the mental health domain. And therefore, pre-service and in-service teacher training must incorporate these aspects. Further, I think this is a repeat, please pass. Assessment की हमने बात की थी शुरू में कि 360 degree assessment होना चाहिए. Holistic report card बनेगा. That has been talked about by the NEP, and the holistic report card is going to reflect the mental health and well-being status of the child and how it has progressed through the years, which is, I think, a very positive move and giving it a lot of legitimacy. And I think that will lead to a lot of change in the system. Emotional literacy, formal, informal activities ranging from the curriculum to the teaching, learning, to the interaction, to the evaluation, to each and everything that happens in the school has to be done, undertaken, understood, and executed from a standpoint of not just pure academics and knowledge. It has to also now prove itself worthy on the emotional and affective domain so that the child can holistically develop. Thank you so much. Any questions, I'll be happy to take.
Thank you, Dr. Ruchi. I think anyone have one or two specific questions? Anything? Okay, otherwise, we'll be taking up during panel discussions and all. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
I think I thank Dr. Ruchi Sharma for the excellent presentation. That is, teachers are the first level counselors. I think you are all, touched with that aspect. Basically, it is, we should have a humane character, isn't it? Teachers, much of the time, we use such words, inappropriate words, which may harm their, psychological aspects, mental aspect, isn't it? We should try to avoid. I should go to saying to such an extent that when we ask who is a good teacher who is the one who has a care and concern for the child. Not the best teacher is, who is teaching them well and getting good academics. There are others to do that. There are other provisions, but this humane has to, give the human touch. So we appreciate Dr. Sudhi's and presentation, and thank you from our bottom of the heart, Doctor, for a wonderful presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Now we will go to the next presenter, Dr. Sushmita Chaudhary, again from the same department. She has been working with the NCERT for a longer time. A short introduction is going to be given by Saraswati.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Sushmita Chakraborty, Faculty, Department of Psychology, NCERT. Before joining NCERT, she has worked as a lecturer in Department of Psychology, Calcutta University and Bethune College, Calcutta. Besides teaching, Dr. Chakraborty has also worked in reputed NGOs for education and protection of deprived urban children living in slums, railways platforms, and quarter colonies. Dr. Chakraborty's doctoral work was identity style of adolescents in school and their cognitive and affective functioning. In her 10 years of service in NCERT, she has been involved in doing several researches as principal investigator in developing understanding of various psychological perspectives in teaching and learning funded by NCERT and ERIC. She was a core team member for developing of the training package for NISHTA, an initiative of MHRD, Government of India. She was closely involved in developing the module on personal social qualities for creating a safe and healthy environment in schools. Dr. Chakrabarti was also involved as a core team member in the development of standardized aptitude test for senior school students. She has also coordinated 1-year diploma course in guidance and counseling for several years, as well conducting several training programs and capacity building programs for guidance and counseling across the country. She has also been engaged in Swayam Prabha channel for helping students to deal with mental health and well-being. We welcome you, ma'am.
Namaskar. Thank you very much for that introduction. With your permission, Professor Anil, I can start the discussion.
Please carry on.
Thank you. Thank you. So, my dear participants, I thank my previous presenter, Dr. Ruchi Shukla, for ending her presentation with the shift from teachers to other stakeholders who are in the school. And that is where I deliberate with you all. Purposefully, I have not come up with a PowerPoint presentation because I wanted you all to see me so that in the process, while seeing me, you listen to me also. And probably as you listen to me simultaneously, you think also about the issues that I bring up. Not that a very elaborate one, but yes, since morning you have been hearing a lot about how mental health and well-being needs to be promoted. And being a regional level workshop, the focus is on the regional concerns of experience by the teachers and other members in the school related to the students' mental health and emotional well-being. To begin with, let's understand who are these stakeholders, because what I have been told to discuss is about the whole school approach towards promoting of mental health and well-being and the role of different stakeholders. So who are the stakeholders? Who are the stakeholders who are involved in a student's life? Is it only the student? No. Is it only the teacher? No. Is it only the student and the teacher? Probably no. If we continue to think on these same lines, we will realize that the moment the student gets up, no matter what the age of the student is, right from the foundational stage to the senior secondary student who is almost on the verge of sitting for the board exams of 12th standard, the moment that student gets up in the morning till the time that student goes back to bed, each and every person who is coming in contact with that student is a stakeholder for the student's learning as well as for the student's mental health and well-being, which means the parents, which means the siblings, which also means the neighborhood, the community from where the students come from, the community where the school is located. Now, this is all outside the school's boundary, the physical boundary. When we move inside the school's boundary, it starts right from the non-teaching members of the school, the security guard, to the lab assistant, to the librarian, to the gardener, to the midday meal staff, to the cleaning staff. From there to the school principal, the teachers. And if I move again outside the physical boundary of the school, it also involves the people who are in the backdrop of the functioning of the school. That is, the school partners, the school administrators, the textbook material development team, the curriculum development team who are shaping the curriculum of the school, the teacher training institutions and the teacher educators, because they are training those teachers who will be in interaction with the students. So if we see, then the stakeholders are many who are involved and who play a very significant role, whether it is in a very direct form or it is in a very subtle, indirect way. But yes, we all play a prominent role in defining how our children, how our students are feeling emotionally, psychologically. Ultimate aim, when we talk of in a very philosophical term, what is the aim of education? Why are we all in the school education process, in the school education ecosystem? Why are we all breaking our heads and brains? Only because we want the students to develop into very healthy, holistic, and happy individuals. But in the process of this, through the different translating lines, somewhere it comes down to that we focus only on the cognitive part, forgetting ultimately it is that human being. And when we are talking of a human being who is being nurtured to grow up healthy, it is their emotions, it is their affective expressions that play a very big role. No matter how beautiful a teacher's lesson plan may be, how perfect it will be, unless and until the target group sitting in front, the 40, 45, 50, 70, they are comfortable, they are happy, they are feeling good, they are experiencing positive emotions, the learning, the lesson plan which the teacher wants to conduct fails. And if that happens, even the teacher does not feel happy. So the end result is that nobody is happy. Nobody is in the state of well-being. So time has come, and our NEP 2020 as well as the new curriculum frameworks give us a lot of opportunity to actually now work upon not only to ensure the academic progress of the students, but also their affective progress. How can that be done? So far, we have understood who are the stakeholders. So if we have to progress in these lines for ensuring the students' mental health and well-being, for promoting and strengthening it, then not only the student or the parent or the teacher single-handedly will need to work. It will have to be a teamwork of all these different stakeholders. And somewhere or the other, we all need to come on the same platform. Now, the question that may come is, how do we come? The person or the team of people who are developing the curriculum, how will they work in this, whole paraphernalia? Or the teacher educators who are in the teacher training institutions, whether it is in the diet, whether it is in the other teacher training institutions, how are they going to get involved in this process? Within the school physical structure, of course, there's a lot of scope, as my colleague Dr. Shukla mentioned. As a teacher, there are so many things that one can do. But what about those who are outside the direct school environment? In that case, the two main focus, as I believe, is that each one of us in the role that we play, whether it is the school administrator, whether it is the school heads, whether it is the community heads, whether it is the parents, whether it is the teachers, whether it is the curriculum developers, whether it is the syllabus development team, whether it is the teacher training institution head and the faculty, each one of us in our respective roles, when we make the mental health and well-being of our each and every student the backbone of the learning, while we are framing our responsible outcomes, whether it is in the form of a syllabus or a textbook or training of the teacher curriculum or actual training class of the trainee teachers. When we include not only about teaching or preparing for a particular discipline pedagogy, specific pedagogy, whether it is geography, physics, etc., along with it, the bottom line also communicated is of how we are going to reach out to students who are happy. How, while teaching this subject, I ensure that the students are not only cognitively engaged, but they are emotionally engaged and are bonding with that subject and with their subject surrounding, with the peers around them, with the school teacher, with the other people in the school. Then not only we are ensuring that the student is happy, is moving towards a more state of well-being, but we are also ensuring that the learning becomes more strong and long-term. Researchers have proven that emotional engagement with school, with learning comes much before than the cognitive engagement. It facilitates, rather, when there is an emotional engagement, it leads to more behavioral engagement. Actions are taken more concretely by the students when they are emotionally engaged with the school, with the learning, with the classroom. And when there is emotional and behavioral engagement, cognitive engagement becomes more easier for the student. They feel more enthusiastic to invest in the learning of that particular subject. And that is when the student definitely feels in a state of well-being. And that is where our role starts from, as if we follow this whole school approach. Meaning that each and every stakeholder in the student's learning play an active role and assume that active role in their different responsibilities. Now, as teacher educators, as school administrators, as a school head, as the member of the SMC, as a parent, as a community participant, when we start thinking, and that is where our thinking begins, is that let's identify in my role what is the challenge in ensuring my students' welfare, psychological and emotional welfare, how I in my role can make sure that the students are in a state of well-being. Then only I'll be able to identify the strategies also. There cannot be in a whole school approach when we follow, we cannot have a straight jacket. What Dr. Shukla mentioned was the strategy that a teacher can envelop, that a teacher can undergo and undertake. But a teacher in isolation, no matter how willing or motivated and passionate he or she can be, unless and other stakeholders are with him or her or with the group of teachers, the ultimate target of ensuring that every student in the class, in the school are happy and in a state of well-being will fall flat. Maybe for some time, maybe for a few months or a few years, it can happen with much struggle, but in the long term, it will not work out. So we all have to identify my own challenges. As a school administrator, what is the challenge I have to ensure that the students in my region, in my school system, become an effectively well-nourished and developed healthy student who are able to face the challenges in life, who are resilient, who can cope and move forward with a positive state of mind. That is the ultimate objective. And once we are able to identify with such challenges, we will have to move again from our respective positions as partners in the school ecosystem. I repeat the word as partners. Stakeholders move to become partners in the school ecosystem to ensure the actual implementation of a whole school approach. So as partners of the students' learning of development, what is the strategy that we can adopt? The strategy of the school head will differ from the strategy of the school administrator, from the strategy of a teacher educator, from the strategy of a planner, education planning. So from a respective position, I am not specifying any particular role because I can see that there's a mixture of, it's a very heterogeneous group with whom we are talking now. We have school administrators, we have principals, vice principals, teachers, SCRT, diet faculty. So it's a mixed group, and therefore I request all of us to engage in deliberations as to what can be done, what are the challenges, and what are the strategies that we in our respective position can do to fulfill those challenges. That is the main focus that I would like. I will really request all of you in the next 1.5 days to deliberate upon and come up with some very strong action points as to what all can be done in your respective positions. Finally, I would like to end up with just a few points of quick reference all the time as you fill up the next few hours and the day tomorrow to find out ways what can be done. Let's keep it as a point to fall back upon all the time is that our role as different stakeholders is number one, to provide the support to each partner. If I am a teacher educator, then how I can give support to the other partners in the school ecosystem to enhance students' well-being. If I am a SCRT faculty who is also involved in material development, what is my role? What is our role to ensure that support to the other partners, including the student, the parent, the community, and everybody else, to ensure to the ultimate objective of the student's mental health and well-being. The second is that a very important word Professor Indumati had said is that teachers and the school ecosystem need to be geared up to provide psychological first aid. Often we hear that, we are not trained to be counselors. So how do I know? What do I do? Nobody is saying that because we all have our specializations. So nobody is expecting that we all become counselors. But we all can become the first level counselors. We all can become more sensitive to providing the psychological first aid. We can all, again, by gearing up to become what it is to become an agent of providing that first aid, emotional first aid, what can we do in our respective roles to gear up, to build up that capacity in the partners of the school ecosystem? Second. Third, very frequently on and off different guidelines. For recently, we are working on the suicide prevention guideline. Isse pehle we had the Mental Health Act coming up. We have NCPCR talking of different child rights issues. So keeping ourselves updated on all these different policy and initiatives is another factor that we all need to keep in mind when we are planning our strategies. For example, the Manodarpan tele-helpline and what all Manodarpan does. How do we make sure that our teachers, our students, the community in the school and outside school are getting aware about it? What all can be done within the school's ecosystems functioning that these facts can be informed to them? Because if we are wanting for prevention, then we have to become proactive, actively think, actively act, actively feel. So the third fourth is, again, I will go back to what Professor Indumati had said in the morning, is about an equitable classroom. An equitable classroom is not just of providing the resources or making sure the resources are there in terms of the physical form. It also involves the emotional resources being provided. Are we, through our different roles in the school ecosystem, helping the partners to develop their capacities to make that emotional equitability being conducted, being communicated to the students who are the ultimate users of this ecosystem? That is another challenge that we need to work upon in our respective roles to ensure that all our partners are focusing on this area. Fifth is building the capacity for early identification. And when I say that it is building the capacity for early identification, it is not only being informed, it is also having regular interactions and building one's skills to handle when there is a identified issue. And we all need to remember that small incidents may turn from a minute or one day event, situation, experience, if not handled, will move from minute to moderate, and one fine day it will become an intense problem, a severe problem, which then will be under the mental health disorder and illness. So in the school system, which is actually nurturing their learning, we have to become more preventive and approach there itself when there is an instance or there are signs of any kind of a emotional turmoil, challenge. And when we are working upon our challenges or strategies, this is where we also need to throw a lot of attention as to how we build up our capacities, respective capacities in our different positions, and build up our early identification skills and know-how. For the know-how, of course, many handbooks are coming up. Very recently, as Professor Sibia mentioned, that the early identification modular handbook, which has been revised based upon the feedback that has been received, it is going to be rolled out. But that is going to give only the information. It has to go hand in hand with practicing and giving them that environment to the partners in that learning as to this can be openly discussed and further strengthened each one of us. So with that, I think I will end my deliberation. And if there are any queries or any further information that you can obviously ask. Over to you, Professor Anil. Professor Anil or anybody from RI Mysore?
Thank you, ma'am. Professor Anil Kumar will be joining us in a minute.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we can take any questions or doubts. Any specific questions from the online or offline participants? Yes, sir. We have a question here.
Participant, you can even chat also your questions.
Hello. Excuse me, madam. This is Sridhara Charlu from Telangana NCERT. You have given wonderful guidance for us, and you are discussing about the whole school approach for mental health well-being. So before that, we are discussing. We should discuss about the first stage counselor, that is a teacher. How should we empower the teacher? How should we provide the teacher counselors in our schools, like Kendriya Vidyalaya and Navodayas? Already, there are very effectively they are working in Kendriya Vidyalayas and Navodayas. So, like that, in a state level schools, local schools also, we need with a unit of school complexes are in a block system. So, we need a teacher counselors also. If we provide teacher counselors, it is a very good project will be taken up. And before that, we are discussing about the 360 degrees assessment. So, holistic progress card. So, in NEP, some instructions given for holistic progress card, but some deviations are there while we are designing the holistic progress card. In that, how we include this psychological aspect, that means social emotional balance and mental health well-being. So some aspects have been included in holistic progress card. So please, madam.
Join.
Thank you, sir, for asking this very relevant question. True, I agree with you that the Kendriya Vidyalaya and Navodaya system school teachers are getting a lot of exposure and capacity building. However, we also know that the Nishtha module that was there for teachers development, it has a very specific section on developing personal social qualities and skills in teachers to become a caring teacher. And these skills, and I understand that many teachers, thousands and lakhs of teachers in our country at the state level also have taken part in this Nishtha courses and have developed their capacities. This course is also available on the Swayam Mukh channel. It is a part of the teachers training program. And the more we encourage our teachers to become part of this course and develop their qualities and skills, which we term as the personal social skills, they will become more humane and more caring, more sensitive towards the entire, I wouldn't say only towards the students, but also towards the teaching learner relationship and the classroom, and then it will permeate out to the outside the classroom unstructured spaces where a more healthy, warm, positive environment is created. Secondly, also there we talked about the diploma course in guidance and counseling, which is running across the country, where the training is being provided for teachers to become teacher counselors. And this course is open to all the teachers. So the more teachers are deputed for this course, which is a 1-year course, they get the exposure to not only counseling but also to guidance, and become trained teacher counselors who are more approachable and play a facilitator to the students as well as to the learning community when they go back to their system. To know in further detail, sir, of the guidance and counseling program, you can contact, of course, our colleague, Professor Anil Kumar, who himself has been coordinating this course for many years. And in RI Mysuru also, we have other faculty like Professor Kalpana, who is active in the diploma course. So all these informations you can get from the faculty there in RI Mysuru, and ensure that the teachers at the state level are becoming more actively members of this diploma course and become trained to function as teacher counselors. Your third query was about the holistic progress card and incorporating the affective domain in the holistic progress card. I agree with you, sir, because so far our progress card only focused upon the cognitive. So now when we are talking about including the affective domain, there may be some confusion, there may be some challenges also, because when we need to include and integrate the affective domain in the holistic progress card, we have to actually match it with the children's progress, developmental progress, emotional development, their personality development, their language development, according to the norms of the development that we know theoretically happening and also practically happening, that has to be matched with their with the assessment pattern, and therefore it may require a little more exercise than just focusing on the academic or the cognitive aspect of their development. And therefore, of course, you will be receiving a lot of guidelines and support on this matter as the curriculum is taking shape further and rolling out to becoming more implementable policy. So that is from my side. If Dr. Shukla would like to add something.
Yes, ma'am has given the details. There is a question in the chat bot which says that our retired teachers also offer this course. Sir, you may please apply for the course. There's a process for admission. If you clear that process, we'll be happy to have you. And as per the question, just a little addition on the fact that the NEP 2020 also talks about having social workers and teachers work in tandem with the counselors. And teachers in their in-service and pre-service training programs do have, one or two papers which deal with guidance and counseling, developmental psychology, and some other psychological aspects. So the know-how of the basics of psychology is there with all teachers. It's just that the system somehow has come to, restrict each teacher to the subject, and we need to undo that practice and focus more on teacher as an entity, as a member of a family who has more to offer than the subject itself. So teachers, by virtue of being humans, by virtue of having so many years of life experiences, by virtue of having studied 2 to 3 papers of psychology in their in-service, pre-service training programs, are trained as first-level counselors to a large extent. But now that NEP talks about teachers working more on very identified aspects of mental health and well-being, I'm sure more programs will be on offer, and you can keep checking NCERT webpage and other such institutions and look for such programs.
Ma'am, there's one more question in the chat box. Dear ma'am, if possible, please plan to make district level career guidance to reach ground level needs.
Yes, thank you for that question. Just a reminder, I'm sorry, we do not have the mandate. Education is in the concurrent list in the Constitution, and therefore the state gets to take certain calls on education. And district level planning can be suggested by the center, but the decision and the implementation, however, has to come from the state education department. You may pursue the matter with the department, and whatever help you seek and require from NCERT, you may write to us, we'll help through.
In fact, this regional level workshops are meant for this purpose only, to create the awareness amongst the regional resource people, and from there on generate the need. If the need is felt, raise your concern, raise the need at the state level. Districts may come together to make the state feel the dire need for such programs. And definitely NCERT will provide, our Regional Institute of Education will provide all the support needed to facilitate such kind of programs being, organized.
Ma'am, can I raise a small question? This is Gopal Krishnan, Deputy Commissioner from NVSRO Hyderabad. Yeah, as a teacher, I had been a student of PGDGC, and I consider it as one of the best exposures that I could have to make myself more prepared to deal with different kind of situations, especially related to the mental health of the students. So having taken that into consideration, is there any way in the new normal situations where there is plenty of plethora of challenges coming up, both from student side and teacher side, which require calls for a better understanding of the situation? Can we think of customizing a shorter course where every teacher is mandatorily exposed to the elementary and basics of the handling of the child? But the crux of the situation is that in most of the cases,
True, sir. We truly empathize with your this query, because we also have felt the same, and it is very heartwarming that coming from a system, as partners of the learning, as a teacher in the Navodaya system, you too are talking of the same. Even now, as you are already as a trained person, as a teacher counselor, you think on the same lines. We agree with you. Of course, the Nishta module is one attempt in this direction. The others probably will soon be rolled out, as it is being, it is already mentioned in not only in the policy but in the curriculum framework, both at the foundational stage and at the school education level. Both the curriculum frameworks has prominently mentioned about the importance of highlighting the affective domain of understanding the learner and focusing on the socio-emotional aspect right from the foundational stage to the secondary stage. So to fulfill this aim of the curriculum frame, definitely such things will be rolled out soon, and your mentioning from this regional level workshop will further add to that impetus. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
If I may add, sir, 1 second, please. If I may add, sir, the module that ma'am just mentioned, that is available on Diksha portal and can be accessed and taken help of in building such skills amongst teachers. And you can do it at your own pace, whether you do it in a week's time or you do it in a month's time is completely, your progress related growth in the discipline. So that one module is currently available. Then capacity building of teachers is being done very differently to the Manodarpan initiative. We have this mental health week practice, which we do annually, in which we do send out letters to the school systems suggesting certain activities which will build on their understanding. We have even shared certain flyers and brochures which build awareness about certain aspects of mental health which may be utilized. Of course, Manodarpan cell is open to any help required by your school system or any school system. If you want, things can be planned, and as ma'am said, certain things are in the offering which you will hear of soon.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good afternoon, ma'am. This is Sudhalakshmi from Andhra Pradesh NCERT. Ma'am, we had a lot of wonderful information from the speakers right from the morning. Just I want to highlight one thing. So, ma'am, can we, as Gopal Krishna sir said, we have to make it a mandatory for each and every teacher to learn something about the mental well-being, and a course should be designed for that. And another thing is, can we prepare some kind of material for peer counselors? We have to develop students as peer counselors in school. That concept also is working very well. In some areas we tried, but can we develop some standard procedures and some course-like thing for that? And one more thing is, can we develop any case study based training for teachers? Because they are facing a lot of problems. Can we make any course with case study based? Yeah, this is.
Thank you, ma'am, for raising the concerns. It is very heartening again to talk about the peer facilitators. If you remember, I strongly mentioned when we were talking about who are the stakeholders, the whole school approach in the learning partnership. The students themselves are a major partner, are a major role players in it, not just at the receiving end, but also as a facilitator. And the buddy system or the facilitating body as peers are an important way when we as other partners in the school system will have to work upon as to how this can be developed as a strategy for strengthening our students. Understanding that at a certain point of time in their life, students turn to the peers, to their batchmates, to their age mates for seeking help. In fact, many times it is the first person who are the peers to notice some kind of a change in one's emotional expressions, in one's behavior. So if we nurture this quality in our peers to become more sensitive, and this can happen not just as a course, but as part of an integral part of the teacher-student relationship, of peer-to-peer relationship, student-to-student interaction within the classroom and within the school also. So the school's functioning when takes into cognizance these as strategies, the school plan, then it will become a more integral part where every student becomes a peer supportive. A separate course may make you what? May make a peer become certified to become a peer counselor or a peer facilitator. But the aim is to bring in every student, every teacher, every school head as a student-friendly, proactive person who is an ambassador of students' mental health and well-being. That is the thing we have to work together every day in all our functioning.
Okay, madam. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. There's another comment from Dr. Badiuddin Pangal from Diet Lakshadweep. Sir is asking that the schools are not giving importance to the first goal mentioned in the Nippon, that is the child maintained health and well-being, but the schools are giving more importance to the other two goals. Thank you.
Unfortunately, that is the situation still now in very many schools across the country, not only in Lakshadweep, but thank you, sir, from Lakshadweep to highlight this. However, let's not get disturbed by such kind of happenings. The fact that the Ministry of Education in its the new curriculum frameworks have brought in this means that sooner or later it will be rolled out and every school will focus upon the mental health and well-being of the students. Sir, what is required is one will take up that action when there is awareness, when there is acceptance of this need for promoting mental health and well-being. When that is done, then automatically the schools will focus on it. So what we can do as partners, all of us in this workshop, let's commit to ourselves, let's commit to our institutions that we are working with, that in our every functioning, wherever we get an opportunity, we will voice the importance of mental health and well-being. We will share the resources that we have. We will share the knowledge that we have to create that awareness and advocate the significance of mental health and well-being for students. You are going to hear from the morning, you have been hearing about a lot of information, lot of knowledge. The remaining of the workshop days also you're going to hear a lot. You're going to work upon also a lot of things. So take forward this learning and share when you go back with your colleagues. That it will be the first step to bring in that awareness to advocate mental health and well-being. So let's not get, demotivated a little bit if they are not happening right now. Let's hope we'll keep happening. Let's keep our flags running high. Thank you.
Good afternoon, madam. So, good afternoon to all.
Good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Madam, I have two questions regarding the psychological health and well-being. First, the vital part is the parents of the children. Second one is the counselors who are working in the schools. But in Andhra Pradesh or any other part of country, I think no counselors are working in the schools. And second one, majority of the parents are illiterates. They are not well aware of their children, what they are doing. So majority of the parents, they neglect their child. So in this part, what we will do for the awareness of the parents? And second one, we have to select or appoint one counselor for definitely for each school. This is my opinion, madam.
Thank you, sir. We do understand the limitations of very many schools which are in the rural or in the remote areas, and some states where still the practice of having one counselor for sure in the school is not there. In fact, that is probably recognizing and accepting this challenge. The NEP also mentions that if not in every school, at least the school complexes will have a counselor as a resource person. and also the germination of this need that every teacher functions as the first level counselor is from this, because a professionally trained counselor is a very big resource which has to be shared by the schools till the time our country has the pool of counselors such that every school can have a counselor. Secondly, you mentioned that the parents of many students who are coming to the schools are first generation learners. The parents are illiterate. But here my question to all of us, even to myself, is that is there any parent in this world who doesn't want their children to be happy, to be healthy emotionally? Which parent will, whether a literate or an illiterate parent, whether a parent from a very flourishing economic condition, or a parent who is from a very economically deprived background, will be satisfied if their child is not happy? That is a basic need that every parent probably has. And for that, for creating the awareness about students, about their children's mental health and well-being, we have to connect with this basic need of the parents. And from the parents will elicit, once they are able to connect with this common need between the teacher, the school community, and the parent, believe me, the strategies will come up from them as to what can be done. The problem gets accelerated, sir, when we try to put our plan into them, because they cannot understand what we are talking, what we are trying to say in terms of, suppose I go and talk to a parent and say mental health and well-being. An illiterate parent may not understand it. But if I talk in terms of, is your child happy? If your child is not happy, how do they experience it? How do they express it? How do you as a parent get to know when your child is happy, when your child is feeling very satisfied, when your child is gloomy, when your child is not experiencing happiness? Then probably even an illiterate parent will understand, because emotions don't need a educational qualification. Emotions need to be felt. And that we all as human beings feel it. So let's capitalize on that.
Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you.
Very much.
If I may add to this, sir, हम parent teacher meetings करते हैं, सारे school systems करते हैं, whether it is KVS, whether it is NVS, whether it is the state government or any private school, we have parent teacher meetings. But nowhere in any document, any curriculum framework is it written that the parent teacher meetings are mandated to only discuss academic progress. We have made it a practice. We can use this forum to generate sensitivity by asking our parents. If you start asking, does your child feel like coming to school every day? No. What do you do? What does he say? What do you do when your child is taking an exam and is nervous? These can be things that you can do in a PTM, apart from having so many more experts come in and talk to the parents. Right? Every forum needs to be utilized to its maximum. Unfortunately, we have set minds, कि ये forum is meant only for this. You break that mindset, you have enough in hand to deal with any issue at, whether it is with the parents, the community, the child, or the staff. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, madam. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good afternoon, madam. Nowadays, now NEP 2020 introduced, and counselors every school having must, madam. But nowadays there is no understanding to the student in the classroom, because the education system is going on marks oriented system. So how is it possible to understand the student in the classroom?
Your concerns are well raised, sir, but still I feel that when you meet a person for a first time, it is human mind. It catches information and it processes and analyzes and comes to a conclusion. You don't need extra time or an extra effort to know someone who's passing through your site every day for, if nothing, then 1 hour. So I think it's just a loss of focus. We have started to focus on different things. बच्चा बैठा है क्लास में, किताब निकाल ली, लिख रहा है कि नहीं, उससे आगे हमारा फोकस नहीं है. If we change the purview of the focus and make it slightly broader, I don't think there is any dearth of time or skill amongst teachers especially to, know the child. As somebody was just mentioning, our requirements have become very focused on, the end product of, say, grades or academic success. And therefore, the focus is different. If we broaden our focus to the child's holistic development, well-being, we will start noticing things which we ignore as of now. We ignore them. It's not that they are not there and we don't see them. We ignore them because we don't feel it is part of our job or it is required to be taken cognizance of. So I disagree on what you are saying, and I don't blame you for that, but the system has to, change gears maybe.
As teachers, as school heads, when students come into the school, we have time periods. From this time to this time, this will be taught. From this time to this time, it's games period. From this time to this time, assembly, etc., etc., etc. Where are we in these time periods? Do we have any kind of plan to interact with the students and give them the time and the space to hear their voices? What are they feeling? What are they experiencing? What are their aspirations? What are their expectations? Whom they are expecting from? When we hear, when we give them that opportunity that as a human being, we want to know you. We want to understand you. Sir, we in the school system, all of us will be able to understand these students, not just as learners, but as human beings. So it's just as Dr. Shukla said, it's just about changing our mindset, how we have been thinking, bringing a change in that way of thinking. Thank you.
That type of mindset.
Let us now stop for some more, because our need is now to take lunch. We cannot extend this. Participants, you have an opportunity to ask the question during our panel discussion. Okay, our technician also require some rest. They are constantly sitting at the CIT, lab. I think I take this opportunity to thank Sushmita Chakravarti for elaborating about various roles of different stakeholders. I think Madam has highlighted it is the whole school approach, but even we need to go beyond the school. When we broadly say school is a part of our community also, so it is the community approach we need to extend to support our students. I'm very much thankful for you, for Madam, to such an elaborate discussion and also initiating the discussion among the participants. Really, a lot of questions are unanswered. They are there in the minds of the participants. Let us have a forum to consolidate the ideas and how we can go ahead. The workshop should emerge with a certain solutions for that, what strategies we can adopt it, that all we will take up the due course of this remaining days of sessions. Thank you everyone for cooperating with us. Thank you Ruji also for supporting. We will also expect your cooperation in between whenever the panel discussions are there, as these two members were extensively cooperating for all our Manodarpan and Psycho session for RIEs to build awareness among this particular aspect. I think the question is like that, how do we change our own vision or our own approach, isn't it? The change should happen first from within us. If we are ready, then I think many things can do. So we will stop for the lunch. I think the technicians are also can go for lunch, and then around 2:10, 2:15 we will come back.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, madam.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Professor Anil, for
Thank
the
you, sir.
opportunity to interact. Thank you.
Thank you.